ВТБ нам выгодный дорог.
А почему выгодно?
С дебетовой карты ВТБ скидки на поездки в сервисах Яндекс.Гоу до 50%.
С ВТБ нам выгодный дорог.
Получайте скидки на поездки в сервисах Яндекс.Гоу до 50% с картой ВТБ. ВТБ. Все получится.
Куда приведет тебя спорт? К экрану? К любимой команде? Или в спортзал? К клавиатуре? На ринг? Или на стадион? Все пути открыты с чемпионат.ком.
Безграничен, Level Kitchen, безграничен, Level Kitchen, вкус отличен. На уровень новый мы поднимаем питание. У нас все готово, продумано все заранее. На новый уровень, на новый level, Level Kitchen. Мы ставим, где бы ты не был.
Закажите доставку прямо на трибуну в приложении Яндекс.Еда.
Если радио, то максимум.
Мы любим спорт за моменты драйва. Моменты впечатляющего мастерства. Моменты запредельных эмоций. За моменты, которые становятся историями. Мы соединили моменты спорта и истории, которыми они становятся. И все для того, чтобы делать спорт лучше.
RDS GP — это вершина российского дрифта.
Ой, щелчок, давай. Клево, смотри.
Они все супергерои вообще.
Мы дрифтеры.
Цепляется мертвая хватка. Take it easy, homie.
I was hungry for this. I wanted the podium.
Самое сложное — это остаться на вершине.
Вы что, угораете?
Что, это моя проблема, что ли?
Ответа нет на этот вопрос.
Как это возможно?
Я не готов на камеру такое говорить.
Надо верить молодым.
Извините, мама звонит.
Это автоспорт, детка. Вообще, за что дрифт любить-то надо? Риск.
Мы этим живем. I just couldn't be happier.
Черт побери, мы за это и любим дрифт.
куда приведет тебя спорт. К экрану, на стадион или в спортзал. Все пути открыты с чемпионат.ком.
Happy New Drift, dear friends. Hello, and this is the second time in a row we have to change our opening ceremony procedure due to the fog and the rain. We have to change it and do it at the pit lane. This is not a place that the spectators often visit, but the life dictates its strict conditions. The runs will continue very soon, and now let me introduce to you the participants of the 6th event of RDS GP 2025. With great pleasure, we welcome this team again, the team that joined us this season, Predator Drift Team. And here is the founder of the team, Alexander Abramov. Number 182 is the prize winner of RDS GP and RDS Europe, Ilya Polishuk. And also, silver prize winner of RDS Europe 2022, Alexei Kozlov. VS team, half of its lineup, yes, the Bavarian part of the team, and number 812, a local driver, the best qualifying in his career today in this challenging weather, Anatoly Kizin. And a prize winner of RDS West and RDS Europe events, Denis Sarakaput. Here we proceed to Lukoil Racing Drift Team, and number 21 is the winner of RDS Europe and RDS Asia, Grigory Gusev. Number 70 here stands the champion of Winter Drift Battle and the bronze prize winner of RDS GP events, Danilas Karabagatov. The winner of RDS Urals, prize winner of RDS Siberia, Andrei Astapov. And the rookie of this season, RDS GP, who showed us a very daring qualifying, Danila Vorobyov. The next team is Likar Одержимые Motorsport, consisting of this guy who is still a leader of today's qualifying and the champion of RDS GP, vice champion of the world, the winner of RDS Siberia, Arkady Tsarigradzev. And his young teammates, the winner of one of the qualifyings of one of the events of RDS GP, Vladislav Popov, and the driver who will break into top 32, Ilya Popov. Unfortunately, Vladislav Yerofeev is not with us today. He is sick, so we wish him good health. Now we proceed to another participant, another contender, who is getting more and more momentum, Anton Dmitrienko from Irkutsk. The leaders of the team standings time up team, and here's one of the contenders, number 80, silver prize winner of RDS Europe, Kirill Matskevich from the city of Minsk. Bronze prize winner of RDS Europe and the author of a good collection of trophies, including some prizes from RDS GP, the founder of the team, Leonid Schneider. The winner of Winter Drift Battle, who also won the qualifying at the previous event, Maxim Grossman. And the guy who made us all very nervous, and also his rivals, the defending champion of RDS GP, Artyom Shabanov. So another rainy run. Great weather today, my friends. So if you want to get soaking wet at this, but not your reputation, you're welcome here. And another local driver, Anton Klyamko, my dear friends. He hasn't qualified yet. He will be out there on the track very soon. We hope that the weather will get better by the time. Now let's welcome Avtoban team number 71 as two-time champion of Belarus and the winner of the Eastern European Championship and the Master of Sports, Sergei Sak. Number 100, the rookie of this season, Dmitry Sherbina. And starting number 24, here is the winner of RDS Siberia and many-time prize winner of various events, including those at Igora Drive, Dmitry Yermokhin. Here's Takayama Forward Auto team, consisting of the driver who, during his short drifting career, has already got an event victory and the RDS Open, so that he is invincible already. And also, he just celebrated his first personal victory, and the first qualifying victory happened here at Igora Drive in very similar weather. Timofey Dobrovolsky, 5-time champion of the Republic of Kazakhstan in rally and the winner of the Kazakhstan Drift Championship and the rookie of RDS GP, the International Master of Sports of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Petr Borodin. 4-time champion of RDS GP, winner of RDS Siberia, 2-time triumphant of the Intercontinental Drifting Cup, and the history's first winner of Russian Drift Cup, Georgy Chivchan. The driver who came here and joined us at this autodrome and immediately celebrated the first victory in his career. We can't wait to see the continue of the celebration. Roman Tivadar. Now let's proceed to the driver who is a well-known power man and the winner of RDS East and the prize winner of Motorsport FIA Games, Ilya Fedorov. And here is a little gap where the spectators are standing, waiting for the autograph session, and the drivers were afraid no one would come. No, don't be that pessimistic. Our spectators are hard to break, just like it's impossible to break the flanker F. It has been through lots of challenges, but now it's back on track with its driver, who this year is the author of some incredible number of qualifying victories and also one of the leaders of the next competition of RDS Open. We're happy to welcome him every time, Artur Zeleny. The defending champions of RDS GP, Fresh Racing Team. Number 33, here is the founder and the driver of the team, Denis Migal. Number 81, and still the prize winner of RDS GP and the champion of RDS Siberia, Yevgeny Losev. The driver who has got a collection of a bronze and a silver of RDS GP, Damir Diatulin. Carville Racing Team. This is the name of another team from St. Petersburg. The guys from St. Petersburg stand at the end and at the start of our parade. Here is number 91, the champion of Russia in circuit racing, the champion of rally championships and the master of sports, Grigory Burlutsky. Bronze prize winner of RDS Europe and bronze prize winner of Russian Drift Cup, Ivan Palmin. The winner of RDS Europe and RDS West, vice champion of RDS GP, Anton Kozlov. The driver for whom this is a home event because he comes from Karelia, the city of Sortavala. He's also prize winner of various regional championships and RDS Europe events, Artem Leitis. And here comes the moment when I say thank you to all our partners and sponsors for all those who make this event happen. The general sponsor of Russian Drift Series Grand Prix is VTB Bank PJSC. Our official sponsor is Premium Motor Oil Manufacturer iMol Company, and our official health sponsor Level Kitchen, the brand of ready health and nutrition to fit your fitness goals. The food truck is still working no matter the weather, so you're welcome if you are here at Igora Drive. You can go and buy some food. The drivers are hiding, but they will have to come out very soon into this soaking wet atmosphere because we'll have an autograph session. And now we have almost walked through these meters that separate us from the officials of Russian Drift Series. No matter the weather, they work for us relentlessly and to do everything possible. And here they are. Let's begin with our drift judges. Unlike some of the teams, they have an expanded lineup. So, my friends, let's welcome the rookie of our judges board. This is a driver and a spotter with huge experience, Andrei Pauli. A many-time prize winner of RDS Siberia, prize winner of RDS Europe, Vladimir Safonov. The driver and a spotter and a drift judge, Stanislav Dolgich. A champion of RDS Europe with exhaust wet team, the most experienced driver of RDS Open, Mikhail Davidyants. The director of the race, all-Russian category judge, Vasily Karachkov. The sports director of RDS, the all-Russian category judge, Svetlana Shakhova. And the CEO of Russian Drift Series, all-Russian category judge, and the chairman of the drifting committee of Russian Automobile Federation, a member of RAF Federation, and master of sports, Dmitry Dobrovolsky. Mr. Dobrovolsky, here you go. For some reason, we cannot turn the rain off no matter how hard we try, but we have an opinion that probably we have just spent the entire number of the sunny days that were available. So this time we have to adjust to these rainy conditions. Maybe we have to change our regulations and allow using paddles on our cars. But no matter what we do, you are still the best drifters in the world. Let there be drift. This is Dmitry Dobrovolsky, my dear friends, and if he promised that, it will be so. And at the end of the opening ceremony, we always rise for the national anthem of the Russian Federation. We are proud of you, Russia, and with great pride for our country, we declare the 6th event of Russian Drift Series GP Open. Happy New Drift, country! The drift is new, but the qualifying is old. We still continue the same qualifying round of RDS GP 2025, the 6th event. You can see what the weather is like. Everything is more or less clear, except for the part that the rain has driven the fog away. This is good. And we have to announce that, unfortunately, rain is better than fog, because under the rain you can do anything, but under the fog and zero visibility is not good for drifting at all. So there is weather that can be worse than rain. And the interim results of the qualifying is now on the screen. Arkady Tseregradtsov is the leader with his amazing 97-point result. Before that, there was an amazing 95-point run of Danila Vorobyov. The next is Georgy Chevchan with 94.5 points, and then everything is all clear. The average score has fallen due to the speed and some strict criteria applied by Vladimir Safonov. And then all the drivers kept on affirming it. We've got top 8 in 90-plus zone, and a special celebration for Anatoly Kizin, because this is the best result in his career. He finally joined the elite club. And generally, out of the current drivers, we don't have so many who has won any qualifying. There's 12 of them, and only 5 have got multiple qualifying victories. This is Denis Smigal, who is going on his second run. So he found himself in between the two. Unfortunately, the break had to be announced, and Denis was one of those who initiated this break, and the judges also confirmed that they couldn't see anything. And now the founder and a driver of Fresh Racing goes on his second qualifying run. 13.9 degrees centigrade is the temperature of air. Look at this sea there in the initiation zone. I hope that Denis has got some new knowledge now. And now reflecting in the wet asphalt. He's beautifully floating through the first sweeper. Somewhere there you can see the marks marking out the touch and go. I think he missed touch and go 4, but this is only a guess. And here you can see that 5 and 6 have been brilliantly taken by the driver on board his Supra. Wow, that was a dive into the mud in around touch and go 7. And I guess the right front will also hit the no-go zone, but he's got to continue no matter what. He shouldn't allow the drift turn into skidding. It's good that there are no spectator stands, because otherwise our spectators would have had a muddy shower. Our stands are on the outside part of the track, on the outside, and it is not really clear. On one hand, the visibility was bad. Something was very hard to make out. Now the track is super wet, very wet, and you can see it from these splashes coming out from the rear wheels. Instead of the smoke, you've got this spray. But thanks God we don't use any rain time tires. Otherwise the splashes would be like meters high and you wouldn't see anything. But this dive is not a good thing to happen. Also the mechanics will have to wash the car from the outside and from the inside. But Fresh Racing have adjusted their processes in such a way that they have washed their cars over and over again, because changing the engine, which used to be a routine procedure for this team, is not a big happening for them. In Nizhny Novgorod it happened and the engine was basically intact, but one belt fell off. So this is also some very rare kind of a breakdown, very surprising thing. And I didn't really ask what happened to the engine afterwards, because the block must be fine. Maybe there are some valves that hit the pistons, but I'm not sure. We're now comparing the two runs, because Denis is currently on the 28th place out of 29 drivers who have already got some productive runs, which means that potentially he may be expelled from top 32, and he's got to get as high as possible, at least one line higher or maybe more. 65.5 was his first result. And the 27th driver, Sergei Sak, had 69.5. And will Denis Migal manage to show a better one is a big question. We are about to find it out very soon. As far as the timing is concerned in the 5 sectors, I wouldn't say that it's all perfect or something, but it's not tragic as well. In the run-in, everything was more or less okay. In sectors 2 and 3 are pretty traditional, nothing new. And this is Alexei Kozlov, who is also preparing for his second qualifying run. He had 74.5 points for run number 1, and I remind you that he represents Predator Drift team. Since our parade started with this team, I had a chance to chat with Alexander Abramov. I wanted to ask what is going on, what they're up to, and they're not really up to anything, because any driver who wants to go on a configuration when he is hitting the actual clip, he's looking for a way to the next one, and the clips are impossible to make out. There are no references because they're hidden in the fog, so they have to follow their instincts, and this is very hard. It's very hard to see the style score of Denis Migal. It really hurts me. So this is -7 in Sector 3 and some speed lag. But in Sector 5, everything is more or less okay. In Touch and Go 8, Touch and Go 4, I missed. It is 18 for the line, 29 for the angle, and 15 for the style, which makes a total of 62 points. No improvement for Denis. So now he can only count on someone who shows a worse result. If it's worse than 65.5, he still has a chance. But building a strategy on someone else's trouble is not a good thing to do. Alexei Kozlov and his Toyota Cresta in the GX71 body is going on its second qualifying run. Alexei Kozlov has nothing to worry about. With his score, he has a guaranteed place in top 32, but of course the better the performance, the better it is generally. He is sliding along the white line. I think he's still following his instincts as he's drawing the first sweeper, fixes the angle, adds a little more. But how smoothly he does it, we will understand from the score from the Mikhail Davidyans. Then he collects touch and goes 5 and 6. And then he makes a transition, and touch and go 7 is somewhere near the pit, I guess. And here is number 8, which he misses, I guess, and one wheel goes outside the white line, but at least he doesn't jump off the asphalt. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But this wheel outside would be also expensive, because this area from touch and go 8 to the finish is pretty expensive. There is a little sector with a standard. You've got to run through it faster than 5.5 seconds, and Alexei Kozlov managed to do so, so we don't expect any penalty for that, except for 1.4 touch and go 7. And Denis Migal also got penalized for that, even though he matched the reference, but he went in the no-go zone, which was a mistake. Also, as far as Alexei Kozlov is concerned, regardless of the missed touch and go 8, he kind of compensated it with this wheel outside. I mean, he extended the way, but it is not saving him from the penalty from the missed touch and go. But if we ignore sector 5, then the run was just brilliant. I mean, if we forget about the timing thing, he's been very aggressive as much as it is possible in this environment. And what makes me specifically happy there is that full throttle line, and right before that Alexei pressed the throttle pedal. Yes, there were some corrections, some little stepwise angle gaining, but I think it's not surprising in this situation. By the rear wheels traces, you can see the angles. These are the indirect measurements. Yes, if you imagine that all this surface is laden with sensors, you could measure so many things using our modern technologies. And now we just judge by the wheel traces, so you can see the line and the angle. Yes, so here they are, -4, -1 for sector 5, and -3. Well, he wasn't as slow as some of the drivers have been, so the picture looks pretty optimistic and the run looked rhythmic. It is 76.5. Alexei Kozlov is going to the safe place, and he takes the place of Ivan Palmin. Ivan Palmin is now on the 22nd line of the rating. And here comes Group 6. And this is the last qualifying group. We've got 5 contenders there. The first of them is Anton Klimkov from St. Petersburg, driving his BMW F22. His best career achievement is top 4, but on a reverse configuration. And now the F22 is going on the first run. F22, number 53, a driver from St. Petersburg, Anton Klimko, the best of the drivers who represent themselves. And this is a counter shift that was slightly slow, and he's breaking into the first sweeper. And unfortunately, 2 wheels have been outside, hitting the cones. I hope that Anton comes back on time not to get a 5-point penalty for a missed touch and go number 2. In the meanwhile, the second sweeper has been passed. The transition touch and go 5 is very easy to make out. Bravo, touch and go 6 is taken, and now no matter the water, he's got to push it and continue. Anton Klimko collects touch and go 7, going into the last sweeper. Here we can only guess if he hit or missed that touch and go number 8. The line shows that he's more likely to have taken it with 1 wheel, but the final verdict will come from the judges. Moreover, the judges see this touch and go better, and continuing the idea, it would have been better if Anton Klimko had this good achievement on a classic configuration of the reverse one, but now, well, he's got something to fight for, so that's okay. 2 wheels outside the track in around touch and go 2, unfortunately. And this is a really unfortunate thing, because 5 points for 2 wheels, 5 points for touch and go 2. These are all very expensive flaws. That has been pointed out by Stanislav Dolgich during the briefing. But first of all, there will be another run for him to do, and I hope that he will be more careful, or maybe he will just try to spin his car a little sharper at the initiation. It will work better for him. this is excessively smooth run is really, it can be disadvantage. On the dry, it is very hard to show a high quality initiation. The speed less than 165 kilometers per hour. And this is a pretty high speed, even if you are running on a straight line without initiating a drift. Still, this is all very, very impressive, and the second sector is very bad. Everything which you cannot get any score below -6. So it's not 8.8 but 9.4 for Anton Klimko. Style-wise, there will be a big penalty. Unfortunately, we have to say it because we've got some numbers and and we've got a table with all the handicaps, and we have a table which shows what penalty goes for which. The first sector is okay, second is -7, -5 for the touch and go, -5 for the wheels, and sector touch and go 8 has been missed. It is -14 for the line, and for the angle there's only 13 left, and the angle is okay. But this is a very challenging weather. This is 60 points this far. This is not a very motivating result, but there is a second run to do, and we have seen it many times when the first run was not very very productive. We have discussed it with Vladimir Safonov, and he said that this is the drivers cannot understand until they do at least one run. Then they see what the penalties come for, they look at their performance, and they do some follow-up work, and this is why we see some improvements afterwards. And now here comes a driver who has got a qualifying victory here at this autodrome and this configuration and in very similar weather. This is a driver from Takheim, a forward auto, Timofey Dobrovolsky, who is driving a forward racing AS15, a canonic one, and he is now going on his first run. Timofey Dobrovolsky was very aggressive on the dry asphalt, but historical example says that even in this situation, Timofey knows how to drive. And this is the initiation. The first sweeper is drawn with a gap from the white line. At the same time, Timofey Dobrovolsky collects the first 2 clips, does a transition. He takes touch and go 3 and 4. And now look at how beautifully he takes the touch and go. And he is leaning against the white line as though it was a wall. But then one wheel slipped outside, but at least he wouldn't be penalized for touch and go 6. And now penalized is already in the last transition and touch and go 8. It looks like he managed to reach the lines, and here come the cones, and you can see the line underneath the layer of water. And this is the end of the first qualifying run of Timofey. Wow, this is so beautiful, so surrealistic. Like impressionism and surrealism and expressionism, some little hint. Seeing life in a droplet of water. This is like a ghost, like in a video game where you have a ghost opponent. Wow. And there was so little left until the edge of the track. It's great that Timofey Dobrovolsky managed to hold onto the track, because otherwise it wouldn't have been good for him. And his initiation speed was good. But in Sector 2, he would definitely get a penalty. This is going to be -6 if Vladimir Safonov decides to strictly follow that mathematics, where you cannot get outside the designated range. But in Sector 5, he wouldn't be strictly penalized. Only 1 point, I guess. But in the rest, well, no matter if you want it or not, some wiggling was performed by the Sylvia. He didn't want to follow the driver's wheel, but the driver happened to be stronger. And he managed to suppress this objection. Was it one wheel outside in the round touch and go 7? Symbolically, 130 kilometers per hour was the initiation speed, and symbolically, touch and go 7 is 70 meters away from the start. And what happened during the warm-up run? I think it was very similar, but due to some corrections, the speed dropped in the first sector, and that speed lag, if you can say so about the warm-up run, Timofey Dobrovolsky managed to correct it during his battle solo run. So we're waiting for the score. Damir Diatulin is already at the start. The record breaker, he's got 12 qualifying victories. His nearest rival has got 9, and that is Georgy Chivchan. A great qualifying specialist, but Damir has said that he would love to win more events than qualifying. The same was said by Georgy Chivchan in 2020 when he won lots of qualifyings, but he didn't get anything in the personal competition. -5 for the line, and angle, no, that's -3 for sector 2. Okay, so it is well-rounded in favor of the driver. Let's note it and write it down, and 2 deductions of 6 points each. Only 19 points left for the style, and this is a total of 74 points. So still, he is a little far. He's far enough from the dangerous zone, and now considering the small number of the drivers who haven't come on the qualifying yet, he can prepare for top 32. Now, Damir Diatulin, a driver of Fresh Racing. He's the third of the team. His teammates have already qualified, and here comes the third Supra A80, blue, white and black colored. Damir Diatulin mercilessly lighting at the camera, but now he will start drifting, and we'll finally see the A80. Here it is, starting number 9, and Damir Diatulin is drawing a beautiful curve. What kind of organs of senses you can use to feel that white line? If you know, tell me. And now Damir is drawing a beautiful line, collecting touching goes 3 and 4, transitions into touching goes 5 and 6, and there are 2 more transitions left to do until the finish, and this is the final transition in this court section of the track, and I guess one of the wheels had a little walk outside, dropping a shadow on this beautiful and rhythmic run. Let's check out the timing. The timing is not very bad. At the initiation, the speed was 102 kilometers per hour. That's average. 8.6 in sector 2. Yes, at the age of -3 and -6. We will see how Vladimir Safonov rounds it up. In sector 4, it's 12 seconds, which is over 12 seconds. It is -6 and 7. He may have a 1-point penalty, and in sector 5, it's going to be 1 point deduction. So there are some penalties, but considering once again the weather, which no matter the similarity, the seeming similarity still changes. There are also metamorphoses happening. Someone is going on a wetter surface, someone is going on a drier surface. It is hard to tell, and visually it's hard to assess how much the amount of water influences the performance, and the drivers do not do anything visually. First of all, they have to decide on the setups, and then they have the familiarization run. So let us remember that right before the battle run, you have this little rehearsal. Yes, you can tell that while he was driving here and there are 25 more buckets of water spilled on the track, but there is no other way for the drivers and the judges to do it. There is a certain pattern that is applied to this rainy weather, and between the familiarization and the battle run there are 2.5 minutes only, and you're not allowed to do anything with your car after the warm-up. It would be cool to set something up, at least the pressure, but no, it is not allowed. We had a situation at RDS Open when one of the local drivers in between the runs tried to reduce the tire pressure, and he lost. So here is the score, -3 minutes 2, -3 minutes 2, and angle-wise everything is almost perfect. Only 2 points penalty, 28 for the line, only 2 points penalty. This is 86 points, so I guess a little more acceleration and 90 plus would be guaranteed. 86 is a very good result this far. He's 10th in the qualifying rating. And now let's welcome Andrei Astapov, a driver from Lukoil Racing Drift Team, representing the city of Yekaterinburg on board his BMW E92, who collects some very rare breakdowns, but thankfully he always finds his way out. Thankfully, he had a spare transmission, and his team managed to change it. And the major part of the yesterday's practice day, Andreas Tapov was just a spectator. But what was that wiggle? I wonder, and what the judges say about this. And now Andreas Tapov is going on his first curve, and the line is slightly too narrow. At least is the way it looks. But I hope that he collected the clips, because they're harder and harder to see on the TV screen. The second sweeper is over, the second transition, touch and go 5, and the 6 is taken by Andreas Tapov as he runs on the straight section of the track where he's got to do one transition, then immediately another one, and unfortunately he misses touch and go 8. Andreas Tapov is running towards the finish, and once again a dangerously narrow line. I would like to be mistaken, because I don't know what happened to the no-go zone, where exactly Andreas Tapov was there. And here is the paradox. The drivers miss touch and go 8 on a regular basis, but they don't get to the no-go zone. Here you've got to understand that this is a very narrow part, the beginning of that no-go zone. And you know that your right front wheel hooks up that no-go zone, but somehow they managed not to reach touch and go 8, if I see it correctly. During the runs, Andreas Tapov took touch and go 7, but touch and go 8, it's out there. You can see that little rectangle. And now look how unfortunate. You can see that there is a trace over a right front wheel. You can see that he is several centimeters away from the no-go zone. He managed to fit that line. He didn't take the clip, and also he avoided the no-go zone. Maybe it's because the angle was medium and maybe closer to a small one, and the car didn't take up much space, even though the car is pretty long. That is a very narrow part of the track. This is a bottleneck. If you put the car at a 90 degrees, it would hardly fit. And it looked like the wheel got glued onto the line, but from the wrong side. And here comes the question. On one hand, the contact spot looked pretty big, but would it be interpreted in favor of the driver? Because I wouldn't say that it is such a pleasure to judge the line, because in this weather doing anything is not very nice. But you can see the line. You can actually see it. There are a couple of seconds for you to make out where the car has just passed. -6 in 2 first sectors, and -6 in sector 1 in the run-in, but sectors 3, 4 and 5 are better. The best result of this configuration for Andreas Tapov was 11th in configuration and 12th in the overall rating, which means that he hasn't been in top 8. Let's see what happens to him this time. Andreas Tapov is a great expert in reverse configurations, as we know. 24 for the line, 29 for the angle, and 19 for the style. This is the result of Andreas Tapov. This is his first run, and it's already 72 points, which means that the main mission has been accomplished. And the rest will be the great random, who he hits in top 32. 72 points and 27th place. This is Kirill Matskevich from Belarus, the city of Minsk, who confessed that he doesn't know how to drift under the rain, so this is a big stress for him. And secondly, he's the last contender in the qualifying list. So this is the end of the qualifying, but he knows faster than whom he's got to be. The windshield cleaner is working intensively as Kirill Matskevich initiates and spins the car around and slides along the white line. Wow, who said he couldn't drift in the rain? But look at this beautiful curve with a minimum gap, using the entire width of the track. Then there's a transition. Are you sure he cannot drift in the rain? Or maybe he was just being kind of playful. Now he collects the other touch and goes. Touch and go 7. Couldn't get anywhere. Then this hook-shaped pin, and Kirill Matskevich is already in the last meters of the distance. Here is the finish. So now let's see the replays, and let's enjoy the replays. It wasn't very fast, perhaps, but it was pretty precise. This is a good run, I would say, but I can only suppose that the drivers do not see touch and go 8, and this is why so many of them ignore it, because it's really hard to find your way in that part of the track. I know that there is a little tilt on the track, and it may be also getting in their way. As far as the timing is concerned, in Sector 2 everything looks well, so it's not -6, which is good now in modern reality. In Sector 3, maybe he stayed for too long. It was 12.1 in Sector 4, which is a 2-point penalty. And the last sector, also 2-point penalty, which is 6 seconds sharp. So he couldn't avoid the penalties completely, but comparing him to Arkady Tseregradzev, for instance, this is the guy who we use as a reference. We haven't seen any better this far. The impression of Arkady's run was more dynamic. We can say that there was less water and so on and so forth, but the skill of the driver plays a great role. No matter what is happening around, you've got to show the maximum. Also, you can recall Artyom Shabanov, who was coming first here in the qualifying in May in the reverse configuration. The asphalt was super wet, but Artyom still showed a perfect result that was almost the victorious one. So the situation can work unpredictably, and very often the qualifying runs are not about luck, but they're about the environment. You may be lucky or you may be unlucky. This is why we've got the draw. Artyom Shabanov was probably the first of the two drivers who had their runs on a stably wet asphalt. The others had on a wet and dry one, and it was also reverse. And even in reverse configuration, Igora is a fast track. And what we see here, once again, touch and go 8 is missed, one wheel outside, which is -6 for the style, and some deduction for the angle as well. And this is a total of 73 points. 73 points nevertheless, and this is 25th place. Kirill Matskevich has already fulfilled his assignment of getting to top 32, and he will see what happens next later. He also has another run to do. Now, Anton Klimko, the guy who is in a very hard situation, 34th place out of 34, and 60 points for the first run, so he's got to take some action because he's got nothing to lose. Otherwise, Denis Migal will call Anton his savior. But now, congratulations to Time Up for having 4 cars in top 32 due to the first run of Kirill Matskevich. And now Anton Klimko is trying to save himself, even though his first run was not a 0. This is a result that is not enough to hope for top 32. And now Anton Klimko is doing his first transition. The second sweeper touch and go 4 is taken, definitely. Then transition number 2. And here he takes the precious touch and go 6. Yes, check. And Anton Klimko is where he's supposed to be. Another transition, and now the last one left, touch and go 7, touch and go 8. He collects them as well, and then carefully he's got to take it to the finish without hitting the no-go zone. Now let's see how well he did it, because without a replay it would be hard to tell. We need an alternative angle. And I will try to play some forecasting. I think that all the drivers who have missed touch and go 8 will take them in the second round, because they will see the replay and they will say, this is where it is. This is where it is, and this is what you've got to do. And Anton just used his handbrake to take his car a little further. In this situation, bringing in so much speed would be problematic, because this is not a boat. Even though in such a weather everything is a boat, but at least it has no paddles. But even if you put a paddle engine on this car, I think the depth of the water would not be enough. The run looked pretty dynamic on one hand, but then you look at the timing and you see that the optics that sometimes gets in our way may also hide the pace, so we don't see it well. I see that there are no serious penalties. And this is because numbers are merciless. And due to some daring transitions and some sound throttle operation, it looked very solid. This is that subjective feeling, because before we used to have this spectacularity criterion, it would be 10 points, which was a super subjective parameter like smoke and sound, everything that made it more spectacular. But in this situation, even without smoke, it was pretty clear that Anton Klimko is perfect. He understands perfectly what he is doing. No penalty for the style in Sector 1. Sectors 2 and 3, unfortunately, but 4 and 5 are great. Only 2.5 points penalty for the angle on the perfect line, which is a very good improvement, an incredibly good one. This is 82.5 points. Yes, not enough speed, but getting something that you lack, you can with some other parameters. Now he rises to the 16th place out of 34, which means that he has taken off very high, and I'm afraid that now we know the two losers. Starper Starzai Mol is out of the competition, and Fresh Racing also lose one competitor. Now Timofey Dobrovolsky from Takema Forward Order, who has already reserved a place in top 32, I guess would love to climb higher than the 25th place, but you never know what place would bring you a better opponent, if there are any preferable opponents here. Timofey Dobrovolsky is working through the first sweeper in a very confident manner. Then he makes a transition to collect touch and go 3 and 4. The position of the car with the relation to the borders of the track shows that he is doing that. And wow, that is daring. Yeah, that is courage. But in this situation, courage helps him take touch and go 5 in a really breathtaking way. Now the last transition through touch and go 8 and 90 meters of water. And Timofey Dobrovolsky finalizes his second attempt. And now, just like all of us, he's waiting for the results. What can we tell about this? Of course, now Timofey Dobrovolsky is incredibly benefiting from his circuit racing experience, because Timofey did everything he could. Maybe a little excessive angle in the first curve, but he did everything possible in order to minimize the way from point A to point B, from the loop to the loop, from one mark to another, without breaking the line assignment, which means that he took touch and goes 1 and 2 on the very edge. Touch and go 5 was also taken on the very, very edge, but still he took it. This is not considered to be a violation of the line assignment, but at the same time he reduces the way by 2 or 3 meters, but still here it matters, because you take it piece by piece. But even the style of drifting on this court section of the track wouldn't enable Timofey Dobrovolsky to avoid the style penalties. Also, in live timing, if you ever deal with live timing, there is a color scale where purple stands for the best result, green stands for the better one for the driver. So here in this second round, Timofey Dobrovolsky in sectors 2 and 4 showed a perfect timing for himself. He's perfect. And as it has been fairly remarked, it doesn't mean that there will be no penalty. The penalties will be smaller. Here we also point out little angle penalization, only 4 points. And yes, there's 25 out of 35 for the style, and the general result is improved, and it's beautiful. 86 points. So it is so much about speed. 86 points after 74. And now, very soon, we will see who will be the 10th and who will be 11th, Timofey Dobrovolsky or Damir Idiatulin, because at the moment they have the same best attempt. We know that Damir Idiatulin can also improve his performance, but this far they've got equal result. But Damir Idiatulin has got a second run to do, and possibly Damir Idiatulin can take off even higher than 86 points. And now, after he has got the experience of the first run, and having got the understanding of what the environment is like, he's got everything it takes to go even faster, because this has been his main problem in the qualifying round. So now let's enjoy together and watch the run of this driver from Krasnoyarsk, representing Fresh Racing, number 9. Sector 3, by the way, was absolutely best for him in the warm-up run. Let's see what he does in the battle run. Right now, the second and the last qualifying run for Fresh Racing team. And here's a mystery. Where was the left rear wheel? Was it still on the line, or did it slip? I can tell you only that in the second sweeper, there are no problems at all. Damir Diatulin is collecting touch and go 5 and touch and go 6, moving towards the double transition, and here it begins, the first of the 2 transitions, and here comes the question: if he reaches touch and go 7, then he takes touch and go 8, no problems whatsoever. Once again, he's going a little wider than he's supposed to. So now let's see the replays, and I really wonder what is happening in the first curve, if he started the transition a little bit early. And also I would like to figure out the touch and go 7 issue. From this angle we cannot understand where the wheel was, but it is worthwhile noticing that this attempt was much faster than the first one. Without penalties, it will not be without penalties, but the penalties will be minimum. All the figures are green, all the sectors are green, which means that all the sectors are the best out of the 4 runs that he has done, 2 warm-ups and 2 battle runs. And this is the fastest that Damir Diatulin has done today out of the 4 runs he has done. And if the wheel was on the line, I don't know, we will find it out very soon, but it would still be only a 2-point deduction. Potentially there may be 2 more, which is a 4, but even with a 4-point penalty, it's 96. So some options are possible, and you can see how much faster he was in the second run. Yes, the wheel has slipped, unfortunately, but let's wait for the judges' score. So if there is a penalty in the wheels box, if we see -2 or -4, we will understand what was there. As far as the 7 is concerned, the 7 is not really clear if it is taken or not. The same happened in the first run. We're waiting for the results, and therefore our qualifying is coming to an end. We've got Kirill Matskevich and Andrei Astapov, only 2 drivers left, and that's it. Only 2 runs left in the qualifying. And this process seemed endless due to the weather and due to the breaks that we had to take. But, well, what can we do? Everything has a start and everything has an end. And Andrei Astapov was already waiting at the start. But he cannot start before we see the score of Damir Diatulin. Doubtlessly, but we have to wait. So here it is, -2 for sector 2, -2 for sector 3, -1 and -1 for sectors 4 and 5. Yes, 2 wheels were outside twice. Only 1-point penalty for the angle. That is fantastic. Which is 89 points. And Damir Diatulin rises 1 line higher, taking, therefore, rank 9. Rank 9? Well, logically, in accordance with his starting number. The way I like it. Now, here comes Andrei Astapov. This is his turn, and according to this rule, he would have to take rank 8. Would he do it? We will see. Andrei Astapov is starting his acceleration, the second run for Lukoil Racing Drift Team. The last qualifying run for the team, 250 meters of acceleration. Initiation and not very smooth. But Mikhail Davidians also said, and he showed with his scoring, that he's pretty loyal about it. In touch and go 2, I've got a big doubt. But the second sweeper is beautifully drawn by Andrei Astapov. Then a transition, touch and go 5 is taken, then touch and go 6 also has to be collected, and then he's got to go towards touch and go 7. And yes, he does it as well. And the final transition, the last touch and go 8, and yes, he takes it as well. And the last jump is also over. Andrei Astapov has qualified. And his second sector was also very good, speed-wise. There will be no maximum penalty for the style. But this is not only about... wait, touch and go 2 has been taken. Yeah, he has taken it. At least from this angle, this is what I see. With all responsibility, I can say that I saw it. But 8.3 is a good speed in sector 1. It's really cool. And this is a very solid run. I wouldn't say it was absolutely flawless, but the situation is really heavy. But what this system was made for, it was made to make the drivers run as fast as they possibly can. It is interesting how the style criterion transforms, because at the beginning, when there were separate criteria applied, the sign of commitment was using the entire width of the track. Now, if we're speaking about timing strictly, a special talent is about hitting the clips on their inside edge, so that you take it but you don't go too deep. And if the drivers manage to develop this skill, they can significantly improve their performance without damaging the other criteria. But would anyone take this method up and develop it? I still don't know. But Vladimir Safonov has come to drifting not yesterday, and he knows about all these tricks, and it will be all registered in the regulation. So maybe the touch and goes will be reduced to a spot, a little spot, not a rectangle. Yes, there were some running problems, but not a single -6 point deduction, which is already good, which means that he's got 30 for the line, 31 for the angle. Yeah, there were some little corrections and some little angle changes, and the style, 26 out of 35, only 9-point penalty is good. This is 87 points, also a serious improvement. He takes off to the 11th place. Congratulations. And the last qualifying run for today. Kirill Matskevich, 27th currently, with 73 points. He represents the team called Time Up, and he is on board his Victoria, which is the nickname of his Supra. And the last run of our qualifying round, the Supra A80, number 80. And Kirill Matskevich on board. And now he's spinning his car in a deep angle. I wonder how many... Oh, yes. This is his... this is the replay of the first run of Artyom Shabanov, but with a Supra and a different color. All right, no job for the judges. 73 is still the best result for Kirill Matskevich, who, well, he deserves congratulations. Yes, he didn't improve their performance, but on the other hand, he did fulfill another attempt, and 73 points in the first run allows the driver from Minsk to go and prepare for top 32. And what is inevitable, we've got some losses. We lost to Denis Smikal from Fresh Racing and Artur Zelenyy from Star Pro Styles iMall. Unfortunately, and Kirill Matskevich shows us a 0-point result for run 2, which is pretty obvious. So he's 27th. That's okay. This is better than Artyom Shabanov, who is 31st, for example. And who does Artyom Shabanov hit? This is Danila Vorobyov, the super fast Danila Vorobyov. So this is the qualifying results. Arkady Tseregratsev, congratulations on another qualifying victory. Once again, here, the same place, the second year in a row. Arkady Tseregratsev is the best in solo runs. And Arkady Tseregratsev has got a 9th victory in his career. Danila Vorobyov is second, Georgy Chan is third, and Danila Skorobogatov is fourth, Evgeny Losov is fifth, Ilya Popov is sixth. Then comes Anatoly Kizin in top 8, and Vladislav Popov rounds up the top 8. Likar, Derzymy Motorsport all together are in top 8. Bravo, great performance. Damir Dyatulin is 9th with 89 points. Maxim Grossman is 10th. The 11th is Andrei Astapov with 87 points. Timofey Dobrovolsky is the next. The 13th is Leonid Schneider. The 14th is Ilya Fedorov with 84.5. And the 15th is Anton Kozlov with 84 points. The 16th is Denis Rakaput with the same score. By the way, this is the preliminary qualifying rating. Then Roman Tivadar, 82.5. The same result for Anton Klimko. Grigory Burluski, half a point worse. Petr Baradin is the 20th, followed by Grigory Gusev. Evgeny, this is a gift for you. And then 22nd, Dmitry Yermohin. Then comes Dmitry Sherbina and Ilya Polishuk rounds up the third, 8 with 77 points. The 25th is Alexei Kozlov. Then Ivan Palmin is 26th. The 27th, as we have found out, Kirill Matskevich. Artem Leitis is on the 28th line. Anton Dmitrienko is the 29th. The 30th is Alexander Abramov. Artem Shabanov is the 31st. And this is an upset fourth today. And the 32nd is Sergei Sak from Minsk. We've got the champions on the bottom, including the defending champion of RDS GP and the champion of Eastern Europe and the champion of Belarus. And what is interesting, both of these drivers are in this cohort of the 12 qualifying winners. All right, my friends, we take a short commercial break, after which we will commence the top 32 runs.
Привез вам показать карету короля дальних земель. Пробег от дворца до дворца. Не бита, не крашена. На нее даже ни разу не нападали.
А это мы сейчас и узнаем в бесплатном отчете. Свяжись с продавцом.
Получите бесплатный отчет о машине, связавшись с продавцом. Автору. История авто бесплатно.
августовском номере журнала «Пятое колесо». Зачем россияне кинулись скупать китайские пикапы? Почему управлять автомобилем можно до 100 лет? Кто станет лидером мобильной торговли? Назовут на выставке «Комавтотранс». Журнал «Пятое колесо». Свежий номер уже в продаже. 16+.
Вы все время в движении? Читайте Автомейл.ру. Это портал про автомобили и для автомобилистов. Здесь все самые важные новости о машинах, премьеры и тест-драйвы, штрафы и полезные статьи с советами, путешествия и истории. Будь в движении. Заходи на Автомейл.ру и читай про главные автомобильные события.
В 2024-м явных преимуществ технических не было ни у кого.
За РДС Европы, ребята, надо следить. Там нормальные пацаны ездят. Там вырастает будущее. Все прекрасно. Мы не проиграли сегодня.
Наверное, дрифт — это вообще история настолько уникальная, что и сравнивать не с чем. Мы одни такие.
Шинная борьба. 4-й сезон.
И не сказали, что вы не успеваете.
Я думаю, что мы им показали, что они не такие недосягаемые, как, возможно, некоторым из них кажется.
Темная лошадка, казалось бы, ноунейм-пилот может стать чемпионом.
Повторить это сложно, а без подготовки должной невозможно.
Welcome back to Igora Drive, and we're about to start top 32 round. The qualifying is over, and here are the tandems of the drivers. It will be opened by Arkady Tsarigradzev from Igora Drive Motorsport versus Sergei Sak from Avtoban. Denis Sarakaput from VS Team is meeting Roman Tivadar from Takayama Forward Auto. Vladislav Popov, Igora Drive Motorsport versus Alexei Kozlov from Predator Drift Team. Damir Idiatorin, Fresh Racing versus Ilya Polishuk, Predator Drift Team. Danila Skarabakatov from Lukoil Racing Drift Team versus Anton Dmitrienko. Leonid Schneider from Time Up versus Pyotr Borodin, Takayama Forward Auto. Evgeny Losev, Fresh Racing versus Artyom Letis from Carville Racing. Timofey Dobrovolsky from Takayama Forward Auto versus Grigory Gusev, Lukoil Racing Drift Team. And now let's start what is on the opposite side of the bracket. And there we've got Danila Vorobyov from Lukoil Racing Drift Team meeting the defending champion Artyom Shabanov from Time Up. Anton Kozlov from Carville Racing, the leader of the personal competition versus Anton Klimko. And by the way, if the leaders of the personal competitions can make it to top 16, then they will meet each other. And this is gonna be fun. Anatoly Kitin, VS Team versus Ivan Palin from Carville Racing. The third tandem of the right-hand side of the bracket. Maxim Grossman from Time Up versus Dmitry Sherbina from Avtoban. Georgy Chevchan from Takayama Forward Auto is meeting Alexander Abramov from Predator Drift Team. The Predators are very lucky with opponents. Ilya Fedorov is meeting Grigory Burlutsky from Carville Racing. Ilya Popov from Igora Drive Motorsport is meeting Kirill Matskevich from Time Up. And Andrei Astapov from Lukoil Racing Drift Team is meeting Dmitry Ermokhin from Avtoban. They will close the top 32. I hope it will be today. I hope we can make it today, but it will depend on the number of one more times and on the judges, but not on the judges, in fact, but on the drivers. My dear spectators, we're happy to see you here. We hope you are doing great, that you are not soaking wet. I hope that you're in great mood. I hope that the tandem runs will keep you entertained, because when there are two cars at the same time, it is twice as fun as seeing one car. All right, and once again, I want to express my respect and admiration for your resistance to all the weather, because at every event, without exception, we are going through some weather challenges, but you are still here with us and you are supporting our drivers. And personally, I want to believe that this resistance will have its fruit, it will bring its fruit, and tomorrow we'll have a beautiful sunny day. And the top 16 will be in a perfect environment. Oh, look at this young little fan. He's hiding out there. Oh, sweet. We found you. Come out. Come out. Knock, knock. If the parents lost their baby, here he is. Yes, we found you too. We see you too. Very cheerful and colorful guys. And the guy with the cable. Yeah, hi. Here are some more brutal, neutral colors. But no, here's a polka-dotted... Oh, what are these ducks? Ah, yes, they're ducks. Cool. Yes, I can see you well. I really love this pattern. It's the same like guessing a breakdown by a picture. But it's even better. So here we go. In top 32, we have a familiarization runs. It looks like it stopped raining, has it? The precipitation has got less, and this is a fact because we don't see a layer of water on the track. Arkady Tsarigradzev is now doing his warm-up run on board his Nissan 370Z, the Fire Lady. And This is Arkady Tsaregradzev, and regardless, the left-hand steer. This is initially a right-handed car. We have seen it somewhere today in the qualifying. We've seen lots of things. The initially right-handed BMWs remade into left-hand side, and vice versa. Everything. Arkady Tsaregradzev, by the way, is now looking so purple. Maybe it's because every new run is a new life, because a lot is changing. And of course now the figures will be irrelevant, because Arkady Tsaregradzev has now understood what is happening with the situation, and Sergei Sak decided to take a cone and bring it home in a very extravagant way by hitting it with his front wheel. This is an amazing thing. I've never seen it any time, because they are located at a distance from the borders of the track. So this is weird. How did it get there? Okay, a talented person is talented in everything. He's a champion, you know, a champion of his country and a country of the Eastern Europe. Also a master of sport. Do you think he wouldn't catch a cone? It wouldn't be so hard for him. And here's Arkady Tsaregradzev back. And I remind you that the driver who was ranked higher in the qualifying chooses the lane. Arkady Tsaregradzev decided not to play games and take the left-hand side. And then after he has done his leadership mission, he will see. And you can also see what is happening with the weather. If no one is hiding under umbrellas, then the rain has stopped. But here are, well, you can see some umbrellas and balloons. And guys, I'm so happy for you that the rain had stopped. Doesn't matter that the fog will be back, because rain and fog come in turns here. I hope there will be no fog. We hope the visibility will be good, and we'll be able to watch runs, and the judges will be able to score them. But this view of Arkady Tsaregradzev and the starting arch means that the fog is away. And we are being lucky. Arkady Tsaregradzev will have to wait because the cones have to be retrieved from the front wheel, and perhaps this manipulation requires some time. Dmitry Sherbina is watching his teammate, wishing him good luck. And we want to see some beautiful tandem drifting. We have earned this right. Just like all the spectators watching us on IP television and everything. Sergei Sak and Arkady Tsaregradzev. The light goes green. Sergei decides to start earlier, and now Arkady will punish his opponent, jumping from behind his back, and this is what happens, and Arkady Tsaregradzev is left all alone after the beautiful, like 500 spin performed by Sergei. Yes, the leader has got to do a non-zero run if he wants to continue the battle in any format. And of course, Arkady Tsaregradzev will now do it, and he will try to show a good lead run, because you never know what happens in the second run and how wet the track might get. Sergei Sak catches up with Arkady, but doesn't mean that he is so fast, but he's just been running on straight wheels. And now, due to Arkady's run, we will be able to see what happened with the timing, because Arkady Tsaregradzev is the winner of the qualifying, and he is the fastest of the drivers. Therefore, how come Sergei didn't hit Arkady? Giving such a spin without catching on your opponent is incredible skill. We had a similar situation in Siberia when a guy scratched his leader's door with a rear bumper. But in Krasnoyarsk, RDS GP event, Dmitry Sherbina did such things with his rear bumper that you cannot possibly imagine. 8.2 in Sector 1. This is the timing, which is -1 only. A small penalization will take place. And everywhere, with this little penalization, Arkady Tsaregradzev managed to make it. Some penalization for Sector 4, and no deductions in Sector 5. But this is all about the style. Style, style, style. But it doesn't matter that much. For Arkady, the main thing is not to spin, not to straighten out, not to have all the four wheels outside, and not to fall behind by more than 2 clips. And not doing any opposite drift, which I guess is pretty easy for Arkady, a racer of his level. And with this mindset, Arkady is going to the start. For Sergei, the mission is just to do a proper lead run, try to create some stressful situation for Arkady, try to run away. But, well, we know that. We say it out loud. We know that sometimes the leaders start to run excessively fast to make the chasers run after them. But Arkady knows perfectly what to do. So I guess that no questions are relevant. He's just got to show a stable run, no matter what's happening around. For the majority of the people listening to us, it is something which is impossible to perform because they're not champions of RDS GP. They haven't taken part in the Intercontinental Drifting Cup. They haven't defeated Masato Kawabata. This was actually first place, but FIA had a very weird scoring system due to which Arkady lost. But we all know what happened there. By the way, congratulations to Arkady on his recent title of a Master of Sport. It was a very long story. There were some obstacles on the way, but still he made it, and now Arkady Tseregratsev is a full-scale candidate of sports. Now he is eligible for the Drift Cup. We've got some candidates of sports, pretty many of them. We've got 2 Masters of Sport, but from other disciplines other than drifting. But the fact is a fact. And now let's see the second run of the same tandem, 2 Zs. And both are 370s. Let's be fair. And now who is the second Master of Sports, by the way? We've got only 1 Russian Master of Sport, but in the entire Russian Drift Series, we've got 2 Masters of Sport. Sergei Sak is on the left-hand side, representing Avtoban, and Arkady Tseregratsev, who has got a very simple mission, mostly technical. But different things can happen, so let's just watch everything that is happening, wishing a good concentration to both drivers. Sergei Sak narrows down the line, reducing the speed. Arkady Tseregratsev mimics it as well. Sergei has got 1 wheel outside, and he does a transition to touch and go 5, then shifts a little inward, straightens out the line to collect touch and go 6. Arkady Tseregratsev, in a synchronized manner, makes a transition to touch and go 7, and the transition touch and go 8 is very beautifully performed by Sergei, almost ending up in another spinning, but Arkady Tseregratsev cannot be surprised. And together they cross the finishing line. I think that everything has been performed. Maybe we should listen to the judges. What do you think about it? Let's bring some positive thinking into our broadcast. Maybe we could see the sunny Vladimir Safonov or Mikhail Davidyans, who is our main stand-upper. Vladimir Safonov should not be in a very sunny mood because he's got very challenging work conditions. But I had so much pity that I was ready to spill on the judges, and they said, well, it's not windy, that's okay. This is not Krasnoyarsk, it's generally warm. We just don't see anything, but that's okay. So the judges are not so sad. Not as sad as I thought. They are well-tempered people. This is a kind of summer that you need how to spend, and this is pretty hard for many people, and the judges have gained enough experience by this event. I think it's more about humidity, because humidity, after all, can condensate inside the monitors that they use for watching the runs, and this can cause some discomfort, but it's not happening, thank God. They have already learned on the bitter experience of the previous events. But is it really bitter? Yes, maybe we are not enjoying this weather, but then when we recall it, the memories may feel pretty nice. We may get nostalgic, thinking, well, It's so good that it's not the same. By the way, Dmitry Dobrovolsky made a joke about having spent all the sunny days. Or maybe we will get the sunny days in the Winter Cup when it's plus 15, dry asphalt and stuff, because you never know. And the tire would still be sticky, and Zhiguli, the Lada cars. It took so long for the judges to think, yes, Arkady Tsaregratsev has won the heat. All right, so here comes the next tandem, Denis Rakaput versus Denis Rakaput from VS Team and Roman Tivadar from Takayama Forward Auto. All right, so here we are. Denis Rakaput is having his 20th event, Roman Tivadar is having his 40th. And yes, Denis, selecting the lanes, decided to be the leader first to see what his opponent does, but he is not doing anything peculiar. He is initiating after the lead, mimicking the first sweeper. Then there is a transition, a small gap appears between the cars. Roman Tivadar is skillfully mitigating it, narrowing down the line as Denis Rakaput is taking touch and go 5 and 6. Tivadar is making a small compromise, and still there is a contact, and Denis Rakaput is outside the track. He failed to do a proper transition and touch and go 7. Okay, now let's sort it out. Denis Rakaput could have stuck there, because this is a very wet area, because once you get there, well, you can be really hurt. But there is a service lane which is positioned at a right angle. So let's see. So here, obviously, Roman Tivadar was risking it in every transition without any exceptions, because he understood that Denis Rakaput was fast and this contact, and unfortunately he blocked the transition. And I guess that the rear of the E92 could fit in that transition if it was dry. But once again, this is what happened to Roman Tivadar at the initiation. Well, not the same thing, but a light contact. So the defaulting party is Roman Tivadar. If Denis Rakaput doesn't continue the competition, he will be the winner. And Takayama Forward Auto will lose one contender. Denis Rakaput was fast enough, but Roman Tivadar was faster. It would be pretty logical, because he was running slightly narrower. But, well, the window looks a little dirty. They're checking the rear wheels angles, and I think that it's okay. But no, Denis Rakaput is getting back to the race. Let's give a round of applause. We know some of the managers who know how to simulate great activity in the hot pit, and they take a competition timeout, even though it's twilight, and then they say, no, we cannot do it. And then the competition timeout would be free for VS Team. They could check it out like 100 of times, but they decided to take it. This is respect for the opponent and for the spectators. Keep it rhythmic, keep it dynamic, keep it fast. They say this is only the second tandem of top 32. And what happens if we cannot finish until sunset? We will continue tomorrow. Why not? Because we continue the qualifying after the opening ceremony. So we can do it. So don't you worry. Everyone will have everything. No doubt whatsoever. So Roman Tivadar, unfortunately, is now hanging on a very breakable thread. The season started off so well for him, but the second part of the season is very unlucky. For 2 events, or even 3 events in a row, Roman Tivadar was in top 4, and he was even one of the candidates for the title. But then there were failures. 2 losses in top 32. In Krasnoyarsk, he lost in top 16. And once again, who could think that Timofey Dobrovolsky, with all of his talents, would be the best driver of Takayama Forward Auto? Well, maybe Timofey Dobrovolsky could imagine that, and he had all the grounds to believe so. So here we go. Roman Tivadar is the leader now. Denis Rakaput has got the same situation as Arkady Tsaregradzev in the previous run. Also, if he wins, he will meet Arkady Tsaregradzev tomorrow. But now Roman Tivadar is in the second sweep. Denis Rakaput has got to go for compromises to keep it controllable and safe, but without straightening. This is something that is absolutely forbidden. That can be a reason for a zero score. And the lead runs cannot be compared. It would be an OMT. So Denis Rakaput is chasing Roman Tivadar in the last turn. I don't know how justified was this kind of strategy of these many compromises, but I hope that Denis didn't punish himself. He was trying to keep it under control, but it was a near miss. Let's see this moment again. This is the transition from 4 to 5. This kind of critical moment, it was very ugly, but I think that it was not a straightening. This is a critical moment, especially on the dry asphalt. This place can be different. You can bring a lot of speed in between touch and go 5 and 6 and then slow down, then continue accelerating. You can slow down before touch and go 5. This is like Neck's back at St. Silverstone, which can you pass in 3 different methods. This is a 3-turn combination, and one of them is slightly slower than the others. So you either slow down before the combo, or you run into the combo and then you slow down and then you accelerate once again. Here it's the same. Denis Rakaput left some gap for various surprises with a micro angle on the very inside line. It looked very dangerous, and this angle would give us the answer to our questions. Strictly speaking, this is not absolutely straight, and in our regulations we don't have an angle which would be equal to a 0. Experimentally we found out that 11 degrees is about an error or a threshold. The error of drift dynamics, why 11 degrees, we can see in those Mikhail Davidyan's style explanations. There is one little detail. I saw some drift dynamics works done on the car of Denis Rakaput, so we don't have any data. So it's only about what the judges saw with their naked eye. If they saw straightening, it is a straightening. So now we've got a decision. We will see it right now. And no, everything was okay. There was no straightening. Denis Rakaput, after making all his fans very nervous, he gets to top 16. Leaving Roman Tivadar out. This is gonna be a big battle with Arkady Tsaregradzev. I feel very sorry for Roman Tivadar because his second part of the season is very demotivating now. Vladislav Popov from Likarderjimy Motorsport versus Alexei Kozlov. There is an abyss in between these two cars because Kresta is older than Vladislav Popov and Alexei Kozlov himself. But I'm not sure, but I should check it out. Vladislav Popov chooses the left-hand side, the leader's lane, and carefully he starts drifting and he has 3 wheels outside. Alexei Kozlov with some incredible way mimics it. The first transition, and of course a big gap between the cars, but I don't think that anyone can blame the driver of Predator Drift team. Vladislav Popov is in the second transition, collecting touching goes 5 and 6. Alexei is trying to bring his rhythm into adjustment with the leader, and now Vladislav Popov is continuing. Alexei Kozlov is running to the last transition up through touch and go 8 to the finishing line. Wow, it was so nervous, mostly because of the first sweeper and for the 3 wheels outside, which is 10 points penalization for the line alone. And now let's try to make out touch and go 2. There's also touch and go -5, -15 penalization in sector 1. So it is around 100 meters of the scored section of the track. And it's -15, and you've got a ton of the way to go. Alexei Kozlov's car is really older than himself. Well, things happen, but it looks beautiful. You've got to use the right food supplements, and you will get just as good as the Cresta of Alexei Kozlov. Everyone has to decide for themselves what kind of supplements they need, consulting their physician, of course. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, that was dangerous. Was it 4? I think it's not 4, but it was very close to that. But here's a disclaimer. We are just making jokes. You don't have to take gasoline as a food supplement. Don't you even smell it. And try to stand away from all kinds of such volatile and flammable substances, because these are ethers and this is all poison. We're just making jokes because this is our duty, and we have to smell all that stuff. But in the team's garages where the technical works are being done, of course, you have to inhale various kinds of volatile substances. Is Alexei Kozlov not going to hot pit? Well, he doesn't have to. If he has got nothing to do there, then he doesn't have to. As far as we know, the car is not very young. It was issued from 1984 to 1988, and Alexei was born in 1988. So they are somewhere close to each other. Theoretically, they could be made in the same historical era. Yeah, the distance between the cars is big. Alexei Kozlov hits the no-go zone, but it doesn't really matter much after all the things that happened in the first turn. They were on the edge of everything. If the weather was dry, it would have been, if not 4 wheels, but it would have been very close to an unchaseable run, just because the speed was very low. The speed fell to 59.4 kilometers per hour. This is a very bad figure, because the system starts counting the next loop, and all the figures are erased after. So if you don't see it on time, you lose it. So this is a heartless machine. But we've got Alexander Nechayev, who is the father and the sitter of the Drift Dynamics. So I hope he comes up with a script that can collect the data packet so that we could browse through it and see what was where. So now let's see what happens in the run between Alexei Kozlov and Vladislav Popov, the drivers of Predator Drift Team, and Lekar одержимый Motorsport. The Cresta is on the left-hand side and the Z on the right-hand side. And now, even in this weather, wait, 1, 2, 3, and there is a contact. Alexei Kozlov continues running on his own, working through the first sweeper. Here's already the second under the wheels of the Cresta. Here it's important just to bring an on-zero result to the finish. Alexei can do it, I have no doubt. Yes, one wheel has been outside, but he's back to the track. Vladislav Popov approaches. He doesn't want to leave his opponent alone. No, I'm here, he says. I want to join you. I want to accompany you. Let's do it together. But we remember what happened at the initiation, and now we will sort it out, because it is extremely interesting what just happened and where exactly, because I think... Yeah, so there was the first contact that occurred before the dotted line, and then, well, you see what happened then. For some reason, Drift Dynamics system started turning on a little bit too late. But Alexei was not super fast at the initiation, but I wouldn't say that it was a critical mistake for him. It's 97.9. We've seen 3-point penalties for such runs in the qualifying. But Drift Dynamics is applied, and the timing system is applied, because the Drift Dynamics system here at Igora sometimes may interrupt. We cannot do anything with it. Maybe we should get our own satellite and hang it over the track. But it looks like there was no suspense at all. I'm sorry that we tried to keep the suspense for you. We're just trying to make the second run a little bit more interesting for you, but trying to keep his opponent under pressure. Vlad Popov overperformed it. And Alexei Kozlov wins the heat, which is a good success for Predator Drift team. One driver in top 16 already, which is great. This is the home track for the team. And Alexei Kozlov is the opposite of St. Petersburg. He is from Kamchatka. Only Kaliningrad can be further away than him. Alexei Kozlov and the team should celebrate. They have made it top 16 in this weather, which is a great achievement. And we wish that Alexei Kozlov is not the only one from the team. And now let's see who gets the honor to fight Alexei Kozlov in top 16. It would be either Damir Idiatulin or the teammate of Alexei Kozlov, Ilya Polishchuk. Damir Idiatulin represents fresh rating. He was born in Krasnoyarsk. Now he lives in Moscow. Ilya Polishchuk was born in St. Petersburg and he lives in St. Petersburg. And he drives the BMW E92. And power-wise, it looks like Damir has got a little advantage. But what does it matter in these conditions? It doesn't matter a thing. For Damir, it is incredibly important. It is important for all the leaders of the personal competition. So losing in top 32 is not an option. Because starting from this, from the previous season, we've got a new scoring system, so you don't get any score if you lose in top 32. Damir Idiatulin is now the leader. Ilya Polishchuk was trying to do something, and then he initiates simultaneously with Damir, and oh, whoa, come on, what are you doing? Ilya Polishchuk stays there in that sweeper, and Damir Idiatulin all alone finishes the run. And I remind you that he's got to do it. He's got to take it to the finish, because otherwise it will get even more complicated. And if Damir Idiatulin gets this run to the finish with a non-zero result, it will be just as simple as for Arkady Tsergradzev and Denis Sarkaput. And for Alexei Kozlov as well. It looked like it looks like a mother who is singing a lullaby to her baby. This is what Damir Idiatulin was doing to his Supra. Very carefully, very tenderly and delicately, taking it through all the control points. We know that he could do it faster, he could do it more aggressively, but there are spotters, and sometimes the drivers communicate with their spotters also on the way. And I know that Damir could also see what to do. He didn't even look back when Ilya Polishchuk spinned around. So I'm not sure if there was a contact or not. But now, for Damir, everything is only about what it was like for the winners of the previous tandems, Arkady Tsergradzev, Denis Sarkaput and Alexei Kozlov. So, this far, this is on or off principle in tandem runs. Very low load on the judges, as though a compensation for the qualifying. I don't think that there could be any complaints of Damir Idiatulin, because everything occurred immediately after the initiation. And Damir also had some crazy average speed, 105.5. Maybe this is the reason of all the troubles. Ilya Polishchuk just spoke to Valery Nikulin, who is a driver of RDS Open and the head engineer of Predator Drift team and the entire Kultura Zanosa team, because Predator and Kultura Zanosa are interconnected. And Ilya was emotionally showing at something, but I think that Ilya was just running after Damir and got him where he didn't have to. Ilya initiated very well. I think it was just the speed that Damir offered, but I cannot say anything because Deep Dynamics is again having some radio problems and we don't see any diagrams. It looked like it was all very good. The motion started off very well, beautifully, closely, and then Ilya began spinning. We know the average speeds 105.5 and 97.8, and this is an abyss between these two average speed values, and I think that Ilya just tried to do his best and to catch up with Damir through a very slow spin, and then understanding that he is about to crash into the leader, he tried to avoid it and he pressed the brakes and the car began spinning around the front axle. This is my theory. This is a theory only. I may be wrong, but I think that it is quite possible. But unfortunately, this is what happened. But I cannot explain it in any other way. Maybe one wheel was outside and it slipped. Maybe. But I think it's less viable because the wheel have been outside many times, but it doesn't have to trip like this and cause a spin. But now let's see the second run of the heat. Now Ilya Polishuk will be the leader. Damir Yatulin will have to do his chaser's job in a very well-controlled and careful way in order to bring another victory to his team and to get to top 16. Ilya Polishuk is on the left-hand side. Damir Yatulin is chasing. A very well-articulated initiation performed by Ilya Polishuk. Damir Yatulin is easily mimicking it at a distance, maybe 1 car body length. Around that. Damir Yatulin doesn't have to get any closer, because here it was a very dangerous approach due to a narrow line, but Damir Yatulin controls it. Ilya shows a good but slow lead run, but Damir should be careful just not to crash into the leader. Ilya Polishuk is collecting touch and go 8, and now it's like 30 meters left until the finish, and here it is, and this is it. Thank you. The exercise is over. At a moment, the TECA system in the Supra of Damir Yatulin started making sounds. TECA system is a system that notifies airplanes about approaching another airplane, and it gives you a signal what you have to do to go up or down to avoid a collision. And yes, I think this is not the moment. This is the double transition. But before that, there was a dangerous transition from touch and go 4 to touch and go 5. But Damir Yatulin ignored touch and go 4. And for this reason, his problems began. It was a very intensive approximation. This is because Damir went on an alternative line. And here he started shifting inward. The Supra began shifting inward, but he figured out what to do. And he brilliantly sorted it out, what unfortunately Ilya failed to handle. I wouldn't say that it was very easy. And here you can discuss it for a long time, which strategy would be the winning one, because falling behind would not be always right. Because if you hesitate anywhere and you fall 2 clips behind, it would be equalized to a spin. But I may suppose that the best strategy is a strategy that brings you to a victory. And you just have to be very clear about your opportunities and the risks. This time there was no reason to risk it, and I think this was not intentionally made. It was just the situation that worked out this way, and with great honor he made his way out. The next tandem is 50% at the start. We're waiting for the other 50%. Danilas Karabagatov was the 4th in the qualifying, and this is maybe his best qualifying result in his career. And yes, it really is his best qualifying result. This is his 16th event in Russian Drift Series, because sometimes he wouldn't be here on a regular basis. Then he missed a season, now he's back with us. And Anton Dmitrienko is his opponent, who this season hasn't been through top 32. Several times he failed to get through, and several times he even failed to qualify, but now he's back on track. Danilas Karabagatov is the leader. Anton Dmitrienko is finding his way behind the E92 of Lukoil Racing Drift team. And this is a good initiation performed by the driver from Irkutsk. Here's interesting strategy, but it worked this time. And the transition is so extremely close. Wow, Anton. And yeah, the drive shaft. It's out. Danilas Karabagatov once again. Another tandem run is turning into a solo, as though we continue watching one and the same round, the qualifying. Danilas Karabagatov takes it to the finish. I never doubted he would. But how come at such a moment when everything was working out so well? I will try to make out one very important thing. And as far as the initiation after the leader is concerned here at Igora Drive, it may work really well at this configuration. We've seen it several times. And at some point, the drive shaft broke in halves. It's a carbon drive shaft. It's a composite one. It's black colored, and half of it fell off. And here is a problem, and here's a question: what was the reason? Perhaps Anton Dmitryenko just didn't let the handbrake go at the right moment. Sometimes when the clutch and the handbrake worked, when the clutch is not pressed appropriately and the handbrake is not released and the entire torque goes on the drive shaft. Sometimes this composite drive shaft, you see the way it looks, if there is any mechanic damage, like a little pebble that hit it, a little chip is enough to weaken the entire structure. Carbon is strong when it's whole. There could be a little tiny mechanical damage that no one noticed, and the torque broke it in halves. But let us not forget that the transmission in such weather is experiencing a hell of a load, because it works like on and off. It either does nothing or there is a load of shock. The entire torque is following it, and it can break the transmissions, the gears, and everything. So the torque is the weakest point of any transmission. This is the way it works. And unfortunately, we have seen such carbon drive shafts breaking like this, because the inertia of transmission is like this. The lighter the components, the faster it responds. This is an important moment. And there is a solution. You can use an aluminium drive shaft. It's slightly heavier, but not as much that it can make a serious impact. There is some oil leaking from Anton Klimko's reductor. And this is very bad, because it can make the surface very slippery. And it will take a long time to clean. Where is so much oil leaking? Is it coming from the transmission? Probably, because there is a lot of oil in the transmission. But this has a TTI. There's only 1 liter. And this looks like much more than a liter. Is this the engine? Could the engine be also damaged? Or maybe theoretically, sometimes I recall the previous seasons in ADM Raceway when Yevgeny Spirin switched the transmission and his drive shaft broke the transmission off with a piece of a block. So everything was destroyed, everything that can make a vehicle move, starting from the engine, the transmission, the drive shaft, and even the reductor. Everything had to be replaced. And it was just 1 gear shift on a straight line. And now let's give the floor to our colleague Alicia. Hello, my friends. So, it's time to start our interviews from Hot Pit, and here is one of the most positive drivers of RDS GP, the driver of Lukoil Racing Drift Team, Danila Skorobogatov. Danila, we have just had a nice chat without cameras, but once again, what do you feel about this event? The event is crazy. So much natural disasters, a fog, rain, maybe a volcano eruption or an earthquake is missing. This is something incredible. 6 out of 7 events have been rainy. Maybe someone has crossed someone's road, but we are not very bad sceners. So can you please give us a nice sunny weather for the last event of the season? And this one we will sort out. Yes, this is what makes you the best drivers ever. You can handle any sort of situation. And now it's time for you to go back to the starting arch. Good luck, Danila. And me and you stay here. We stay on air. Thank you for being with us. We thank all of our spectators. Thank you for being here. We are making this drift for you. And we've got some information that there are new magazines available. And also, if you haven't visited some events of Russian Drift Series, you are welcome to go to tickets.drifty.ru, select the event you would like to go to, and subscribe to us on all the social media, and we continue the top 32 round. Yes, you've got such a big choice. You can go to Kazan next week. You can go to Moscow Raceway on the 27th and 28th of September. And on the 4th or 5th of October, you can join us in Rostov-on-Don. This is kerosene. What is that? So take your skis and go to Rostov-on-Don. There we will do the skiing run around Rostov Arena, celebrate the winter and the first frosts. Why not? We can put up a Christmas tree. Yes, now we will have to clean the track, so let's use it for our benefit.
Профессиональная гоночная команда Fresh Racing. Действующие чемпионы RDS Prix. В нашем арсенале 3 лютые Toyota Supra, А80 на 2 JZ. Номер 33 – отец-основатель Денис Мигаль. Номер 9 – король квалификаций Дамир Идиатуллин. Номер 81 – сибирский силовик Евгений Лосев. Двигайся с нами и звони нам на пейджер.
Мы – команда, которая не боится перемен и готова идти на риск. Мы не просто едем, мы диктуем ритм гонки. Мы – тайм-ап. Мы больше, чем гоночная команда. И наше время не просто наступило. Наше время сейчас.
Touch my sleeve. Niggas around there wanna disagree when it's clear that I'm speaking facts. Man like me, you know I'm proactive. Never gonna stop till I see the big man's on flat. Up on the front door, it's like midnight. Don't use your podcast, you might fall out.
случае, ты когда приезжаешь на соревнования, ты хочешь победить.
За 5 минут мы хоть что-то можем сделать, или я пойду сейчас бить козлом? Не, вот этого не надо.
ВТБ нам выгодный дорог.
А почему выгодно? С дебетовой карты ВТБ скидки на поездки в сервисах Яндекс.Гоу до 50%.
С ВТБ нам выгодный дорог.
Получайте скидки на поездки в сервисах Яндекс.Гоу до 50% с картой ВТБ. ВТБ, все получится.
Куда приведет тебя спорт? К экрану? К любимой команде? Или в спортзал? К клавиатуре? На ринг? Или на стадион? Все пути открыты с чемпионат.ком.
Level Kitchen безграничен. Level Kitchen безграничен. Level Kitchen вкус отличен. На уровень новый он мы поднимаем питание. У нас все готово, продумано все заранее. На новый уровень, на новый level. Level Kitchen мы ставим, где бы ты не был.
Закажите доставку прямо на трибуну в приложении Яндекс.Еда.
Если радио, то максимум.
Мы любим спорт за моменты драйва. Моменты впечатляющего мастерства. Моменты запредельных эмоций. За моменты, которые становятся историями. Мы соединили моменты спорта и истории, которыми они становятся. И все для того, чтобы делать спорт лучше.
RDS GP — это вершина российского дрифта.
Ой, щелчок, давай. Клево, смотри.
Они все супергерои вообще.
Мы дрифтеры.
Цепляется мертвая хватка.
Take it easy on me.
I was hungry for this. I wanted the podium.
Самое сложное — это остаться на вершине.
Вы что, угораете?
Что это, моя проблема, что ли?
А ответа нет на этот вопрос.
Как это возможно?
Я не готов на камеру такого говорить.
Надо верить в молодых.
Извините, мама звонит.
Это автоспорт, детка.
Вообще, за что дрифт любить-то надо? Риск.
Мы этим живем.
I just couldn't be happier.
Черт побери, мы за это и любим дрифт.
Куда приведет тебя спорт? К экрану, на стадион или в спортзал? Все пути открыты с чемпионат.ком.
We're back on air, my friends. Yes, unfortunately, we needed some time to eliminate the gasoline spill, which happened after what happened to Anton Dmitryenko. He showed a good chase run. He started very well. And it's so sad that he has gone through more than a half of the distance from the start to touch and go 6. It's 630 meters out of 850. So they were like 200 something meters. But the car objected. It happened in between touch and go 4 and touch and go 5, let's say so. But anyway, it was a very hard situation. But we've got this very beautiful magazine issue 4. Here's Alexei Kozlov, he is the cover boy. And we've got Alexander Abramov, who's gonna meet Georgy Chivchan. We will see what happens, and now we're waiting for the next tandem of contenders. And it's interesting for having a not a very heavy context, but still, Leonid Schneider used to be a member of Takayama Forward Auto. Petr Borodin currently is a member of the team, and Leonid Schneider had his first achievements when he was in the team. But since that time, on board his Toyota Mark II GZ X90, he wanted to rise on the podium, and it happened at ADM Raceway. Unfortunately, the third prize battle didn't happen, but the results are already recorded. Petr Borodin is having this season with some intermittent success. This is his adaptation season, even though Petr is extremely experienced as an athlete. Out of 29 years, he has been in motorsports for 22 years. He's an international master of sports of the Republic of Kazakhstan, a many-time champion of various events, including drifting. But his main qualification was rally, circuit racing, and sprint. So he is a very decorated athlete, but in drifting he has got some deficit of experience of such tracks, and Igora Drive is one of the brightest representatives. But in practice and today in qualifying, Petr Borodin looked very well regardless the weather. He was 20th in the qualifying. Leonid Schneider is 13th in this long solo run round. And for Leonid Schneider, this is the 28th event. Can you possibly imagine? It looks like he just joined us. It looked like he was a new rookie. And Roman Tivadar also still looks like a young and promising driver who just came. But he is already having his 40th event today. He still remains a young and promising driver, but this is his 40th event. 40 events have passed by in this terrible weather. In 2020, he had his first Russian Drift Series Grand Prix event, and it was a phenomenal way of Roman Tivadar to the final through very experienced opponents, and he had a final with Dmitry Yermohin, and Dmitry also appeared like a little devil, and the rookie of RDS GP, Roman Tivadar, won that round. Just to compare, the driver who joined us in 2017 and Roman Tivadar came in 2020 is Ilya Fyodorov, and Ilya Fyodorov is having a 50th event. So Ilya Fyodorov is only 10 events older in 8 years versus the 5 years of Roman Tivadar. By the way, congratulations to Ilya Fyodorov on this number. And when we meet him, when he comes up on our screens, we will say it once again, but Ilya Fyodorov will be on the right-hand side of the bracket. We're still on the left-hand side. We've got 3 more heats, which is Leonid Schneider, Petr Borodin, Evgeny Losov, Artem Ledis, and Timofey Dobrovolsky versus Grigory Gusev. This is going to be exciting. The personal history is only between Timofey and Grigory, and it is 1-0 for Griha. They met in 2024 at Moscow Raceway, when Grigory Gusev made it to the final, where he met Arkady Tseregrazov. And on the way to the final in top 8, he met Timofey Dobrovolsky. And as you can see, since Grigory Gusev made it to the final, he defeated Timofey Dobrovolsky. It would be weird if it was any different. But unfortunately for Grigory Gusev, it was not a lucky final. The first meters he crashed into Arkady Tseregrazov, and that was the end. Danila Skorobogatov is getting to top 16 because of a technical failure of Anton Dmitriyenko. Because a piece of the drive shaft damaged the fuel tank. Fuel is not such a big problem as oil, but technical fluids should not be there on the racing track. This is why we had to wait for a while. Now we've got the warm-up runs of the next tandem. We've just seen Petr Borodin running through... what part of the track is that? From Touch and Go 5. And we also see the technical services of Igora Drive. We see the tow truck and the rescue rangers. One sensor of drift dynamics will be replaced. No, this will be the timing sensor. I'm not sure which one. We are already used to the drift dynamics sensor being a little limpy, but yes, this is the drift dynamics antenna being changed on the car of Leonid Schneider. So Petr Borodin is somewhere there, approaching the starting arch. Yes, here he is. So 777 and 7. We need 77 to fill in, but the 77 has to handle Danila Vorobyov on the way, the super fast Danila Vorobyov. So the major part of the 7s are meeting here in this tandem run. Leonid Schneider was the second. This is his best qualifying result. And Petr Borodin once made to top 8. By the way, defeating Artem Shabanov. Yes, it happened once, but back then we had some different problems. I hope no problems will happen now. Leonid Schneider. Yeah, and the drift dynamic system falls off. I hope it doesn't fall anywhere. I hope it doesn't break. It doesn't damage the S15. And Petr Borodin is running after Leonid Schneider in the first sweeper. Close enough. But then there come problems with the angle stability. And there's almost a contact. But thankfully, Petr Borodin leaves some space for the Mark II on the way to Touch and Go 7. Then they do another transition. Petr Borodin is trying to be proactive, and he is running after Leonid Schneider, who is throwing his car into the next Touch and Go. And Petr Borodin was running to the no-go zone. It was not a very nice last sector. No matter if you take a look at the angle or the style, but, well, it's now up to the judges to decide. But I'm really excited at what the drift dynamic system shows on the car of Leonid Schneider. What would the sensor show when such accident happens? It would be funny. And I'm getting some information here. Artem Leitis is changing his car. Well, he can do it according to the regulations. But nothing fascinating. There's only a zero angle that the sensor shows, because the algorithm understands that the sensor is not holding on to anything. And the car on the diagram looks as though it's being moving all around, but well, the sensor is off. And now we see the engine of Leonid Schneider. There he's got the custom-made billet block cover, some really beautiful ones. We've got two manufacturers of these parts, Time Up Team and Forward Auto. Maxim Akhtyamov is showing something to Leonid Schneider. They're discussing their run, showing what kind of details he should pay attention to. They are working on the strategy. As I speak to our contenders, I find out that they are not always, they do not always agree that you have to show the most beautiful runs over. Some of them have some strategic approaches. Sometimes they say that you shouldn't risk it too much. You just need to do whatever you can, like just as much as it is enough for the victory. Don't overdo it. This is a very hard principle to follow, because going on 60 or 80% of your opportunities is harder than showing the 100%. And what is here? Just a replay. And once again, you could see that they were very close to contact. We're now seeing this moment from a very interesting angle. This was a very proactive transition performed by Pyotr Borodin, and we can see him running with all the wheels into the no-go zone, which is allowed for the chaser to do, even though it's not very good. He's supposed to be close, but he's not. There was no straightening. This is what I noticed. And also pedal to the metal. Leonid Schneider is running fast. Or this is just the green livery that creates this illusion. But this is a serious mistake committed by Pyotr Borodin. However, we've got a second part of the heat to see, and then everything will be decided after. There can be three potential decisions. A victory of the one, victory of the second, or a one more time. Leonid Schneider is going a little earlier out there to the Furidashi zone, and he's completely entitled to do so, because a false start is something that is applied to the leader of the run only. Pyotr Borodin is the leader of the heat, and he's got 1, 2, 3 wheels outside the track, and then he's coming back. Leonid Schneider has to mimic all these movements of the leader, then a transition, and now Leonid Schneider is having a problem. A big angle, the Toyota Mark II is shifting inward. And Pyotr Borodin is crossing the line of Leonid Schneider, but the contact is avoided. Pyotr Borodin is working through touch and goes 5 and 6 and 7 on the white line. Then a transition touch and go 8. Leonid Schneider is also shifting inward, trying to jump into the no-go zone, but Leonid held his car back from this risky movement. I want to give a round of applause to Leonid Schneider, because it is very serious slow down performed by the leader. I know that the leader is trying to get to the finish no matter what it takes, but the position of Leonid Schneider's position, he was going on the leader's line within the borders of the track, and he had to gain speed from basically a standing position. He was in a narrow line, he had 2 wheels outside, but still he continued running, he kept the angle, and after the transition in around touch and go 5, he showed a good tandem run, and it was pretty close. Here, Leonid Schneider deserves praise from us, because it was a very, very challenging thing to do. At one of the meetings, we discussed such things about having 2 wheels outside and all these mistakes, critical mistakes, rough mistakes, and so on. And this is a very big problem when the leader behaves like this. And 3 wheels outside in round touch and go 2 means minus 15 for the line immediately, which is a half of the score that is available to the leader. Now let's see it from the reverse side. There was a correction made by Petr Borodin. He had to massage the clutch. But it is worthwhile noticing that both drivers are incredibly skillful in sorting out the situation. Petr Borodin still kept one wheel on the track and he continued the run. And Leonid Schneider as well sorted out what to do, what compromises to take in order to continue the heat. And it ended in a tandem. So on one hand, it was a very bad mistake committed by Petr Borodin, but on the other hand, some really cool actions that saved the entire run. The judges already have their decision. Look at the flames coming out. There are some residues of the absorbent. Leonid Schneider goes to top 16. From our judges trio, Takayama Forward Auto is losing 2 drivers already. And now Danila Skorobogatov is meeting Leonid Schneider in top 16. Wow, cool. So now the next tandem is already somewhere there. On the left-hand side, I heard they go for the warm-up command, so probably they're there. Ah, yeah, they're back already. So what do we see here? We see Evgeny Losev on board his Toyota Supra A80 versus Artem Letis, who after the qualifying made up his mind to change for a backup Nissan 350Z. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Before tomorrow's top 16, he can come back for the previous cover again. Yes, before every competition day, I mean after every round, you can change a car. You can. So everything is okay. So you can select a car by the weather, just like clothes. Let's see how Artem Letis can handle Evgeny Losev. Something just fell off, and it is a bumper corner of Evgeny Losev is off, and another contact, and the driver of Fresh Racing continues running no matter what. And after the first transition, he's already in the second curve, collecting the clips. Then he makes a transition into touch and go 5. He takes touch and go 6 as well. I don't know how precise he was in the borders of the track, but Evgeny Losev continues running through the double transition, touch and go 8 towards the finish. Go there and there, regardless of that start incident. It reminds me of the NASCAR technologies, those air brakes, something like that, because these are right turns. And I'm, of course, kidding. This is an accident. This is a coincidence. But this is pretty fun. The reason for Artem Letis' spin is still a mystery to me. But from this angle, I think we will understand it better. Ah, yeah, he probably just overspeeded and hit the leader, after which he couldn't continue. He hit the driver's door of Evgeny Losev. Yes, a wheel-to-door contact, or the wheel arch. What is noticeable here, Artem Letis could perfectly see that the risk was his only opportunity to fight with such an experienced driver as Evgeny Losev. And this is only about understanding what the judges say about it. But I think it's all pretty clear and transparent. Just in case, let's take a look at the live timing system. And we will see that Evgeny Losev had a speed of 104.4 average speed, which is huge speed. Very serious. Artem had 102.8, which is also pretty fast, but it is slower than Evgeny Losev. And I think it was a jump. He was running after his opponent. As a result, due to the slippery surface, Artem just failed to act correctly. Also, he spinned his car too slowly. And, well, the result is predictable. We have seen it before. I don't know how intentional was that move of Artem Letis. He didn't really practice on this vehicle. Maybe he thought that SX was not good. After the qualifying, maybe he thought that the Z would be smoother and more predictable in this environment. Well, you can never look into some other's mind, but this was his decision and this is the outcome. But yesterday Artyom Leitis still had some problems with the car. It was overheating and we don't know whether it was a pump or any other reason. And what is worthwhile noticing is that in any case, on a wet surface, Artyom Leitis didn't practice at all. So for a driver of his level, I believe one warm-up run would be enough to figure out what is happening. Why such actions are double dangerous on the wet track? Because there is no support. The car doesn't slow down effectively. But basically, Artyom Leitis did everything correctly. Having figured out that he was too close, he tried to reduce the speed with the angle, and this was the best of the strategies ever, but the side support was not enough in order to change the speed for the angle to achieve the desired result. In any case, it was a very complicated situation for Artyom. He tried to make his way out in the way that was available and also to continue close drifting, but in such an environment it didn't work. And whatever happened, happened. And now Evgeny Losev has to make it to the finish. We have seen it today. There is a tape that matches the color of the livery, blue and white, everything to make it aesthetic, especially from a distance. And the mechanics made it look well. And now let's see how well Artyom Leitis can run on his Z in this environment. One wheel has been outside. Evgeny Losev is cold-mindedly mimicking all that, making synchronized transitions. And now take a look at the right line that Evgeny Losev selects. Even the late transition doesn't break it all because Evgeny doesn't go too deep. He remains on the outside edge. And now the transition will be synchronized in touch and go 8, which Artyom Leitis misses. And now shifting inwards in order to control the movement, the opponent of Evgeny Losev, just in a very relaxed manner, continues the run. But what I would say is that I really liked the lead run of Artyom Leitis, and I liked it more than he did in his qualifying on board his 200 SX. Seriously, it looked better organized, it looked more harmonic. Yeah, there were some flaws, especially in the line, but in the qualifying, it would be easy to correct with the second run. But why in such a situation Artyom didn't use it? But I think in the future this experience will be useful for him. This is some over-motivation. When you have an opponent like Evgeny Losev, you really want to show your best. But why in the qualifying Artyom didn't take the 350Z immediately? Maybe then he wouldn't hit Evgeny Losev, or who knows? Artyom Leitis is also Igorovich, the same patronymic name. And his destiny could be different, but the history doesn't know any subjunctive mood. So Evgeny Losev is now going. We haven't had any official announcements, but I guess that Evgeny Losev is going somewhere. We cannot tell where exactly where he's going. We're not allowed to, but he is going to the tomorrow's top 16 round, and now he will be waiting for his opponent, the winner of the next heat, the last heat on the left-hand side of the bracket. We will see them right now, and this will be Timofey Dobrovolsky from Takayama Forward Auto on board his Forward Racing S15, and Grigory Gusev from Lukoil Racing Drift Team on board his Toyota Supra A90. Both cars equipped with 2JZ. One is with a billet block and the other with a standard block. 1.32-stroker is Timofey's engine, and the other is a 3-liter. The nominal volume is 3-liter, but the power is the same, 900 HP. It looks like the fog is coming back again, but I hope It's okay, I hope it doesn't cover everything, but the sunset is very soon. Grigory Gusev was 21st in the qualifying, Timofey Dobrovolsky was 12th, so the driver of Takava Forward Order is choosing the lane, and Timofey decided to take it easy, just like everyone before him. He starts his heat as a leader, and then after he has seen the chaser, he will select his strategy for the second run. It has been working for 100%. Let's see what happens next. This far, there's only Vladislav Popov, who qualified higher, who didn't win his heat. Timofey Dobrovolsky begins the heat as a leader. Grigory Gusev initiates close, but there are corrections. Timofey uses a handbrake, but still he doesn't collect touch and go 2. Then there is transition number 1, the second curve, and touch and goes 3 and 4. Done better by the leader. Grigory Gusev tried to do a proactive transition, but he doesn't really do it correctly. Timofey Dobrovolsky collects 5 and 6, then transition, almost synchronized in the first phase. And now once again, Grigory Gusev starts a synchronized transition touch and go 7, but the fog is getting thicker and thicker. And I guess he had to go into the no-go zone. But how intermittent is the throttle and how much gasoline is spilled into these 1000 HP monsters. This is what I can tell from the flames coming out from the Supra of Grigory Gusev. This is the fuel that hasn't been burned after the throttle closes, after there is a millisecond while a little bit of fuel gets into the combustion chamber and it all flies into the exhaust pipe. Timofey Dobrovolsky had a good pace, but in the second sector he had some line problems. So it is also penalized, but this good pace is still a 1-point penalty because the line is narrow. But you can tell that Timofey Dobrovolsky was trying to take touch and go 2, and he was trying to avoid this 5-point penalty for the line. But the impression is that Timofey kind of overspinned the car at the initiation, which pushed him inward, and then after he found himself in this situation here at Igora Drive especially, just like at ADM Raceway, it is very heavy, it's very hard to correct your line. Once you have brought your car into a certain vector, you've got to follow it. If you try to do something extraordinary, if you try to invent something, it will take you to a failure. You may get an unchaseable run penalization instead of correcting it all. This is the principle, and this is almost what happened. And now for Grigory Gusev, everything is about just showing a better lead run, because Timofey Dobrovolsky gets 22 points for the line out of 30. He lost 8 points on the way, but we understand that the line is the base of everything, and the style can also be evaluated. I mean, how close it was to the reference standards that are prescribed by Vladimir Safonov. Timofey looked quite well, but not perfect. But now let's shift our focus to the positive things that happened in this run. And in this run, we had a very positive chase performed by Grigory Gusev. He was close, and he looked nice. But what is getting worse is the fog. We can hardly see the starting arch. We can hardly see Danilo Vorobyov. And here are the criteria for the chase. First is proximity. The next one is mimics, and then come the line and the angle. So the angle would be the first thing to sacrifice. Grigory Gusev made an important thing. He tried to be as close to Timofey as possible, and it turned into some problems. I cannot tell you exactly how significant or how relevant it may be and how much it will influence the further competition, because the visibility is getting worse. The visibility is getting much worse. This is not me. These are not my eyes. This is not that I am experiencing 5G overloads. But anyway, we've got a camera from which we can see it all. If we could look from behind. All right, so the drivers decided to go. The light goes green. All right, so we will try to guess what is happening out there. Grigory Gusev is on the left-hand side. It is very hard to make out the white car of Timofey Dobrovolsky. This is a very solid initiation of Grigory Gusev, even though it is not required by the judge's assignment. And there are some line problems that occur immediately. Timofey is very close, synchronized first transition, and the second one is also amazing, performed by the driver of Takema Forward Auto. Grigory Gusev, in the meanwhile, is doing a great lead run transition to touching goal 7. It was very fun to see Danilo Skorobogatov, and Timofey is trying to do a proactive transition, and he is going into the no-go zone with all the 4 wheels. Yes, that was close on his teammate Pyotr Borodin, who got a 0 in the first run for this move. Yes, the judges confirmed that it was a 0 for the first run, but it was not as close. Timofey was closer to Grigory Gusev, so there is a hope. It is hard to say anything about the proximity. They were parallel. At some moment, Timofey Dobrovolsky almost outpassed Grigory Gusev. But the mission of Grigory Gusev was to show a better lead run, and he didn't. He didn't. In the first sweeper, he made the same mistakes as Timofey Dobrovolsky. He missed touch and go 1, touch and go 2. So let's see it on this replay. Let's try to make out the marks. Yeah, so this is a miss, and this is a miss. But it's hard to tell. If the wheel was standing in the arch, he would have taken it. So line-wise, Grigory Gusev has got 25 points versus 22. So line-wise, Grigory Gusev was slightly better, the judges say. And Timofey also had all the wheels in the no-go zone. How close was Timofey to Grigory? Let's see it here. He over-angled. If you are very close. Unfortunately, here Timofey just made a very sharp turn. And Grigory Gusev also did a sharp transition there, but Grigory Gusev had more control. Grigory made more of a dynamic transition. And Timofey made an earlier transition, and the angle was bigger, while Grigory Gusev, yes, this is an outpass. Grigory Gusev was following the judge's assignment on this track, but on the reverse configuration. We have seen a situation when Denis Sarakaput outpassed his leader. I don't remember who that was. But it was a reverse configuration, and it was near to the finish. And Denis Sarakaput also made a mistake, and he punished himself this way. We've got the decision of the judges while I'm investigating the historical data. You can see it unanimously. Grigory Gusev from Lukoil Racing Drift team goes to top 16. Now all the hopes of Takema Forward Auto are about Georgy Chivchan. But could you possibly imagine that Grigory Gusev this season is for the first time in top 16? I'm aware of it, but it's hard to believe. But the personal score of Timofey Dobrovolsky and Grigory Gusev used to be 1-0. Now it's 2-0 for Grigory. Denis Sarakaput was with Artem Shabanov. And here's Artem Shabanov, yeah. We got this data from the driver himself. Thank you for verifying our memories. It means that the drivers listen to us, which is great. But what is not great is this. This is not great. It means that we've been through the half of top 32, and it is kind of problematic to go on. While some serious decisions are being made, we've got 1.5 hours to the sunset, but the visibility is off. The runs are suspended for at least 10 minutes, so let's use it for watching some commercial breaks.
Куда приведет тебя спорт? К экрану? К любимой команде? Или в спортзал? К клавиатуре? На ринг? Или на стадион? Все пути открыты с чемпионат.ком.
Это должны знать все! С ВТБ нам выгодны дорог.
А почему выгодно? С дебетовой карты ВТБ скидки на поездки в сервисах Яндекс.Гоу до 50%.
С ВТБ нам выгодны дорог.
Получайте скидки на поездки в сервисах Яндекс.Гоу до 50% с картой ВТБ. ВТБ, все получится.
Привез вам показать карету короля дальних земель. Пробег от дворца до дворца. Не бита, не крашена. На нее даже ни разу не нападали.
А это мы сейчас и узнаем. В бесплатном отчете свяжись с продавцом.
Получите бесплатный отчет о машине, связавшись с продавцом. Автору. История авто бесплатно.
Если радио, то максимум.
Мы любим спорт за моменты драйва. Моменты впечатляющего мастерства. Моменты запредельных эмоций. За моменты, которые становятся историей. Мы соединили моменты спорта и истории, которыми они становятся. И все для того, чтобы делать спорт лучше.
Все время в движении? Читайте Автомейл.ру. Это портал про автомобили и для автомобилистов. Здесь все самые важные новости о машинах, премьеры и тест-драйвы, штрафы и полезные статьи с советами, путешествия и истории. Будь в движении. Заходи на Автомейл.ру и читай про главные автомобильные события.
Мы – команда, которая не боится перемен и готова идти на риск. Мы не просто едем, мы диктуем ритм гонки. Мы – тайм-ап. Мы больше, чем гоночная команда. И наше время не просто наступило. Наше время сейчас.
RDS GP – это вершина российского дрифта.
Ой, щелчок, давай. Клево, смотри.
Они все супергерои вообще.
Мы дрифтеры.
Цепляется мертвая хватка.
Take it easy, honey.
I was hungry for this. I wanted the podium.
Самое сложное – это остаться на вершине.
Вы что, угораете?
Что, это моя проблема, что ли?
А ответа нет на этот вопрос.
Как это возможно?
Я не готов на камеру такое говорить.
Надо верить молодым.
Извините, мама звонит.
Это автоспорт, детка.
Вообще, за что дрифт любить-то надо? Риск.
Мы этим живем.
I just couldn't be happier.
Черт побери, мы за это и любим дрифт. Но в любом случае, ты когда приезжаешь на соревнования, ты хочешь победить.
За 5 минут мы хоть что-то можем сделать? Или я пойду сейчас бить козлом? Не, вот этого не надо.
В 2024-м явных преимуществ технических не было ни у кого.
За РДС Европы, ребята, надо следить.
Там нормальные пацаны ездят.
Там вырастает будущее. Все прекрасно. Мы не проиграли сегодня.
Наверное, дрифт — это вообще история настолько уникальная, что и сравнивать не с чем. Мы одни такие.
Шинная борьба. 4-й сезон.
И не сказали, что вы не успеваете.
Я думаю, что мы им показали, что они не такие недосягаемые, как, возможно, некоторым из них кажется.
Темная лошадка, казалось бы, ноунейм-пилот может стать чемпионом.
Повторить это сложно, а без подготовки должной невозможно.
story, but it's spin like keeping it tight. If a nigga wanna go to a war, we can get dark, but we stay bright. Coming like a night, it's on sight. If it touch my sleeve, niggas around there wanna disagree when it's clear that I'm speaking facts. Man like me, you know I'm proactive. Never gonna stop till I see the big man's on flats.
Up on the front door, it's like midnight, 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 midnight. The music that gets you might follow it.
Level Kitchen безграничен. Level Kitchen безграничен. Level Kitchen вкус отличен. На уровень новый он мы поднимаем питание. У нас все готово, продумано все заранее. На новый уровень, на новый level. Level Kitchen. Наставим, где бы ты не был.
Читайте в августовском номере журнала «Пятое колесо». Зачем россияне кинулись скупать китайские пикапы? Почему управлять автомобилем можно до 100 лет? Кто станет лидером мобильной торговли? Назовут на выставке «Комавтотранс». Журнал «Пятое колесо». Свежий номер уже в продаже. 16+.
Закажите доставку прямо на трибуну в приложении Яндекс.Еда.
Профессиональная гоночная команда Fresh Racing. Действующие чемпионы RDS Prix. В нашем арсенале 3 лютые Toyota Supra А80 на 2 JZ. Номер 33 – отец-основатель Денис Мигаль. Номер 9 – король квалификаций Дамир Идиатуллин. Номер 81 – сибирский силовик Евгений Лосев. Двигайся с нами и звони нам на пейджер.
Куда приведет тебя спорт? К экрану, на стадион или в спортзал? Все пути открыты с чемпионат.ком.
Dear friends, while you are watching the commercial break, together with the judges, we figured out some of the runs because the judges had to do some work and we also had to do some work. So what happened to Petr Borodin in particular? He really did have a 0, but not for the reason that you thought. The no-go zone does not equal to a border of the track for the chaser, and Petr Borodin was entitled to do there, but he couldn't run there on straight wheels. And secondly, in the second run, it was also not very well for the driver of Takama Forward Auto, but finally, the second run was almost an unchaseable run, but the contribution to the defeat was the straightening in the last meters of the distance. As far as the Timofey Dobrovolsky versus Grigory Gusev is concerned, I've got to apologize to Timofey and his fans because the parallel was different. Timofey was closer to Grigory Gusev, and there was not a 0 for the chaser and no circumstances. And just like there was no out pass, it depends a lot on the angle, but no matter how many times they watched the top shot replay, it was not the same as Denis Rakaput did to Artem Shabanov. So Timofey Dobrovolsky didn't have a 0, but the mistakes still were too many to get at least a one more time. A very early transition into a very big angle, which caused the car going too deep inwards and increasing the distance. Yes, the cars were moving parallelly to each other, but the distance was big, while the leader didn't provoke any of such actions of the chaser. So Grigory Gusev still wins. Moreover, we remember that Grigory Gusev looked a little better as a leader. He wasn't flawless either, but still he did a little bit more for his victory than Timofey Dobrovolsky managed to do. Yeah, we know that the environment is very challenging. We're perfectly aware, and the will for victory was amazing in both drivers, and we would be happy to see it one more time if we could see anything, because we're looking through the studio window and we see nothing. There are lots of hard decisions for the organizers to make, and I remind you that astronomically The sunset is in about 1 hour and 15 or 20 minutes, but when the fog is so thick, it is getting dark much earlier than expected. And now Vasily Karachkov, the director of the race, had to announce a break to 6:50. So if a miracle happens and it begins raining and the fog will be driven away, because this is the way it looks right now, and since there is no wind, no one can help us drive this fog away except for the rain. This is very weird to hope for the rain as a savior, but we don't have any other options. If it happens, then we will have approximately an hour or even a little less to do some runs. Can you make all the heats of the right-hand side of the bracket? There are 8 of them. I really doubt that. So in any case, it looks like top 32 will be postponed. At least a part of it will be postponed. And this is the first time in the history of Russian Drift Series. The qualifying has been postponed to the second day. We have had it in Ryazan when the weather was extremely challenging together with the twilight. It looks like something similar is happening to our top 32. But the spectators who come tomorrow in the morning, and because instead of the practice we will have the resumption of top 32. I'm not announcing anything because the people may come early and ask us where it is, because we don't have an official decision this far and we have any timing for tomorrow. So at 6:50 another decision will be made, and here we rely upon the circumstances we're in. So 6:50 we make another decision. This is the next checkpoint. At 6:50 we can finally hear whether we wait for the weather or not. So we are waiting for the rain. We're waiting for any sort of visibility, because like aircraft have to wait for some flying weather, and we're also waiting for some drifting weather. And thankfully we've got Alicia, who is there next to the drivers, and she's absorbing the moods that are expressed by our racers. So let's listen to the participants, what they think about it. But the asphalt is drying out, and it is not like swimming anymore, but the fog is still sitting. So let's hear Alicia. Come on, it's not good mocking at me like this. Damir Idiatulian, one of the candidates for the championship in Russian Drift Series this season. He represents Fresh Racing Team. Since my mission is to ask what the drivers feel, what their mood is like, and what kind of season they're having. So what's your mood like? You have changed into your regular clothes. Are you ready for tomorrow? Yes, today I can relax a little bit. I feel well. I've done some good job with Alexander Andriadi, with the guys. As far as the environment is concerned, it looks like we are doing good. It was an interesting thing with the timing, with the configuration timing. This is something you really have to think about, you have to work with. You have to do your best to run as fast as you can, but it doesn't always work out, because when the asphalt is wet, it can be differently wet. And sometimes you can run fast, like we have now, when the rain is over and for a while the water flows off the asphalt, but it's still wet. The grip is slightly better, but when it is raining, everything is getting slower. And I also started cutting the line, at the same time trying to keep it correct, but I still cannot run as fast as required by the assignment. But I think that at the initial stage of this scoring system, and the guys will work on it, and the next time it will work better. But generally it's interesting, and the weather is also interesting, isn't it? Yes, exactly. I've never hit such fog in the pre-start, because this fog is coming twice today, and the guys who are standing there at the start must be very worried about if they are going anywhere or not, because the visibility is not good. I've just spoken to Evgeny Losev, and he told me that he's gonna race in any weather. Do you agree? I think you can race, Because on one hand, yes, you cannot see anything in the distance, but you generally look about some reference. You run and you look, and you run and you look, so you can do it. I don't know, maybe the judges don't see us well, and this also matters. This is the main reason. This is the main challenge. Damir, you're one of the candidates for the championship title, and I collected all the candidates except for Shabanov. So Tsarigradsev is here for a reason. Do you have this feeling that it is about to happen and you may become a champion finally because Krasnoyarsk changed all your cards? I wouldn't say that I have any special feeling about it, but I may be a little more nervous than I usually am. And if I put myself aside and I try to look at the general picture, it is more exciting. And then being a contender, yes, then being a contender. But I love being a contender because all the events are unfolding before me. So I will watch and see, I will just monitor it. I wish that you keep calm and balanced inside so that you don't waste your nerves on any worries. I wish that you can concentrate on the performance and that you get the result that you want to see at the end. Damir Idiaturin, my friends, he's already in top 16 in the 6th event of Russian Drift Series Grand Prix, so go and take your rest. You deserved it. Damir Idiaturin is leaving, and now I'm inviting Anton Kozlov, and then you, Arkady. Or maybe Arkady, if you want to go first. No, you don't go. You don't leave. You come together. I will talk to both of you. Let me surround myself with the championship candidates. Let's get a little closer to the cameraman. Arkady Tsarigradsev, first of all, I haven't said my congratulations. So congratulations on your qualifying victory and also on winning your argument with Anatoly Zarubin. It was for 5K. Well, I thought we wouldn't mention it. Do you have any with your team? No, we've got one interesting thing. If I ever get 100 points in the first run, in the second I will have to get a 0 for the line. Not to collect all the squares, but to finish the run. Wow, what a strange challenge. Now the challenge is simpler. You can get a 0 for the style without any effort. This is very available for everyone. Yes, this is something you can easily do today. So you both, guys, are candidates for the championship. Arkady Tsarigradsev just updated the table. And Anton, you are the third at the present moment. And Arkady Tsarigradsev, at the moment, he just hasn't done his top 32 round because I passed top 32, so I've got the score. Yes, and Anton has just come out of the car. So let's talk to you. You are lucky. I mean, you're lucky in these circumstances. After pouring rain, you went on your top 32 heat. So what was easier for you, to drive in a fog or in the rain? In the fog it was easier because the track is almost dry. I mean, it's wet, but it's stable. I qualified like this, in fog and a little drizzle, but the grip was great. But when I went on the tandem run with Sergei Sak, there was much more water, and I was 7 kilometers per hour slower. It's good that the style wasn't scored anymore. I think it was just Sergei who made the mistakes. Otherwise, they would definitely find something. But I could feel that it was slower. And all the guys who qualified after me, there was also a lot of water. And they had great style deductions, and they were slower because of the water. Krasnoyarsk mixed all the cards for you. And you are now so close to each other. If you used to feel much more secure in your leadership position, now you are going through lots of changes at every stage. Do you have any feeling like in 2023 when you became the champion? It was 2022. I don't want to think about 2023. So did you have any feeling, and do you have any feeling like this? I didn't have any back then, and I don't have any right now. I'm just walking around the forest, I'm driving in the fog. This is a Silent Hill style racing, but just not to be disappointed, you shouldn't point to anything. You cannot say anything better. This is Arkady Tsaregradzev and Likar одержимый Motorsport, the man who is a candidate for the championship title in Russia Drift Series this year. And I want to thank you both on behalf of all the fans that you still keep the suspense until the last moment. You have so much suspense. He's meeting Artyom Shabanov in top 16. I checked the table. There is a chance. You have already planned everything. Wow, he is very proactive. And this is Anton Kozlov from Carville Racing. Anton, would you like to share your feelings or impressions of this event, of the fog and the rain and the probable championship, or not a championship, but simple leadership in the championship? At the beginning of the championship, the weather ruined it. It was snowing at Moscow Raceway, then it was raining, that was sunny, then it was dry and wet. In Nizhny Novgorod was also rain and then dry. And this continuous setups for the dry, for the wet weather, and you never know what to do, what pressure to set. And all these questions used to make me nervous, and now I'm not anymore, because you understand the circumstances are the same for everyone. Everyone has to do the same. So whatever it is, it's whatever. We used to have a rain, now it's fog. And what else can happen? A hurricane or a volcano eruption. If you will go to Kamchatka, the volcano might erupt. Well, who knows? Maybe there is a sleeping Moscow Raceway volcano, or maybe a tectonic fracture, anything. Yeah, so I'm just enjoying. I think this season is the only one. It's like the dog in the meme that is sitting in the burning room saying, "That's nice." Yeah, this is all for your experience and what you've been demonstrating throughout the season, that the best drivers of the country can adjust for any kind of circumstances, and they take it all positively. They're optimistic. It's very important to look at life like this. And it's great that you are now saying that you are working with whatever you've got. Everyone has got the same circumstances. So where else would you get that experience? It's very simple when it's sunny, when there is no rain on the track. Yes, you're right. But the sweeter would be the championship title for any of you four. If Artyom Shabanov can hear me, Artyom, please come up here to talk. This is our little championship talk. Did you know that you might meet Artyom Shabanov in top 16? I don't like looking into the future like that, because at first I needed to qualify, which was also challenging. Now I've got to take the top 32 challenge, and then we will see what happens. And I think that for both of us, it's a challenge. Now there are no weak opponents. Everyone is equally strong, and for everyone you've got to adjust as though you're going for the final. So it doesn't make any difference who you are racing with, how you're racing. You just have to go and do it. And here's the question that I asked to Arkady as well. What is better for you, a pouring rain or fog? I think fog is better, but pouring rain with fog is even worse. Well, we haven't had this far. Before the parade we went in the fog, and it was also pouring rain. Yeah, I made stories about it. And in such circumstances, your winter drifting experience is good when you know how to pull your car, because in winter drifting, everyone has got powerful cars and they've got to use the pedals, like Evgeny Losev says. The same is happening here right now, and the fact that we've got to run fast now, not just on the clips, but also finding the right speed. This really trains you to find the speed where it's impossible to find it, like in TG5. Anton, you haven't done your top 32 heat yet, so do you still have the mood for it? Yes, I always have it. That's great, my friend. Let's give a big round of applause if you are still there, if you can still hear me. So this is Arkady Tsaregradzev and Anton Kozlov, the two candidates for the championship. But as we just saw, Arkady is now the first in the current rating. I hope it's not temporary, but this far it is, because the guys haven't been scored yet. Because I don't know if we're going anywhere yet. We will see, and if the fog is over, if the fog is out. But Anton, you don't leave me. Stay here. We may go somewhere. Maybe we go anywhere. But wait, don't go. I see Ilya Fedorov, who is definitely bored. And maybe you want me to ask you something. Ilya Fedorov, the legend of Russian drift series. This is the legend of Retro FM, the man who can weld anything to his engine, and this anything would still work. Which event is it for Ilya Fedorov? Ilya, so this is your 50th event, yes, the Jubilee. Yeah, so let's celebrate. Here is my applause to you. In all these 50 events that you have had in your career, have you ever seen anything like this? Not fog like this. Pouring rain, yes, but in fog you can still drift, but judging must be impossible. I've already messaged the judges in the chat that one has to get in the car of another and the other one has to drive after to watch the line. So the judges must get on cars and follow us. So what do you think? Is it good to drive in such circumstances? From the driver's cockpit you can see it well enough. You just need to have nice and clear lines. You can see the leader. Once you are off, then you lose, but for experience. But we will be able to say, this is not the fog that we have seen before. How do you change your setups based on the weather, for example, if you take fog, for example? Since Friday, I've changed my setups, like changing the engine. This was the end of my setups. Yes, very simple. Yes, a new engine and that's it. I just adjust the shock absorbers. Well, you've got a beautiful first qualifying run. It was terrible. It was very uneven. My front wheels had very little toe and we didn't know that. We forgot about it. We missed it before the second run. We adjusted it and it was better, it was smoother, and then I did a transition and I control it with the steering wheel, and then my hand just got jammed there and I spinned. No, you're speaking about the second. The first one was okay, but it was a little bit weird. But the second was 90 points, but my hand got jammed. But let's forget it. Let's just forget it. If you didn't see it, then you can say that the second one was 100, but we didn't see it. Ilya Fedorov, let's greet him as well. Let's give him a big round of applause. This is the driver who has been with us for 50 events in a row, and he is not gonna stop there. You're not gonna stop, right? No, never. This is more than one event per 1 year of my life, if we count from my very early childhood. This is Ilya Fedorov, my friends. My colleagues, commentators, have some important information for you. Please listen to it attentively and stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay in contact so that you keep updated. This is Alicia, and drift is drift in any weather. Not in any weather. Alicia, thank you very much for your optimism. It is great that it didn't rain during your interviews. This was good, at least. But what we've got to tell you, that, first of all, we've got two news. One is bad and the other is good. First of all, we are done for today. And the second one is that tomorrow we will have more tandem runs to see. Yeah. For the first time in many, many years, the part of Top 32 will be rescheduled for tomorrow. So we'll have a half of Top 32, Top 16. We will see it all, and the drivers will do it all tomorrow, my dear friends. So what we're having tomorrow, here are the schedule milestones of our great Sunday. From 9 to 10, we do the warm-up. Then, without any coffee breaks and daiquiri breaks, at 10 o'clock, we begin the second part of Top 32. We don't know what the weather would be like. Maybe someone is lucky, maybe someone is not, maybe someone wants it to rain, maybe someone doesn't, or maybe all of us will be lucky because we will see some beautiful runs. We have a hope that we can complete it in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Then at 11:45, we do the opening ceremony of the second day. We will do everything possible to do a pre-race and to speak to Arkady Tserigradzev because he is the winner of the qualifying. Alicia has asked him a lot of questions, but we've got some more to ask him, and we will discuss it with him, especially with the amendment for the weather that we're going to have tomorrow, because Arkady has got a ticket to top 16, but he understands what is going to happen, and he has got the plans at least to top 4, or maybe even to win, because he's the only one of the 4 leaders of the personal competitions who hasn't got any victories yet. Then the autograph session, of course, and from 12:55 we've got top 16. There will also be a break, but we will speak about it later, because naturally working on the schedule until the final depends on the weather. And most importantly, it all sounds great, but for you to have some visual picture, subscribe to Russian Drift Series Telegram channel, and then you will have it all in your smartphone. You can save it and you can use it to the full. And now we're not going to touch the score that has been accrued for top 16, but after the qualifying, I've done some calculations. Anton Kozlov is still in the leader's position with 661 points. Arkady Tserigradzev rises to the second place with 643 points. Damir Yatulin is on the third position with 642 points. Artyom Shabanov is the fourth with 641 points. This is a super preliminary results, and if tomorrow we can do everything we have to do in top 32, and if Artyom Shabanov and Anton Kozlov make it to the next round to keep suspense in the championship, because none of the drivers can do it all, they will also meet each other, and this will be a great battle. But these are all assumptions, and I don't really want anything like this, but we want the suspense to be on. So tomorrow at 9 o'clock we begin the warm-up. This is going to be exciting, and for the first time, for a very long time, you will be able to rehearse with your top 32 opponent. This is also very cool. There will be lots of participants in the warm-up, and it will be easier to find the desired opponent. So there will be loads and loads of interesting things starting from 9 o'clock in the morning. So don't be late. We are waiting for you tomorrow. And of course, with a great hope for the best, for the better weather at least. See you tomorrow. Have a great evening and goodbye.